From the canticle of the dragon, thus began the age of despair. The roads were tangled.
The winds and the sandstorms dwelt in the husks of cities.
The plains and mountains became our home.
As the old gods lost their power, we called to the blank sky.
Into the cold, dividing gray, to the ears of new gods.
The sky is calm, silent, unmoving. We have yet to hear their answer.
Their answer.
Their answer.
Their answer.
Their answer.
We have yet to hear their answer. Who knows what growing darkness resides beneath the bones and the flesh of our brother, or of a dear friend, or of the person that we choose to share our bed with? Who knows what poison courses through the veins of our heroes, our role models? All of those gallant knights, those charming rogues, the noble wizards, brilliant. We see in them what we want to see in ourselves. And when they prove their capability for weakness, their capability for evil, we become complicit in their crimes. But we're no better ourselves, not really. Human beings are cruel and fragile creatures, and in all of our hearts resides an unseen shadow. It's a disease, incurable, infecting us and transforming us into something we never wanted to be. And we lie to ourselves about it. We try to bury it. But evil is patient, and we are cruel and fragile creatures. We can strive to be better, to be kinder, to be honest with ourselves about ourselves, but in the end, one thing is true, isn't it? In the silent dead of night, when only our ghosts are watching us, we all give into the dark. Now, tonight's story begins in the northern Dargard Mountains. There are rows of snow-capped peaks thrusting up into dark clouds like the spine of an ancient and giant beast rising from the earth. There, high upon wind-blasted cliffs, stands nestled Dargard Keep, a great fortress built from rose-colored stone and shaped like the bud of a rose, the very symbol of the Knights of Solamnia. Now, the centuries have not been kind to the castle, and though it still stands, seeming impregnable by land, its stone is cracked and crumbling. And it's the castle's disrepair that has allowed a small band of prisoners to escape through a hole in its dungeons. Descending down the icy cliff and away from the castle, we now return to our companions. 3 new and 1 old. Agatha Runerock, the good dwarve road warden, is leading the descent down the rope. Now, above her, you have Rook Own, the Minotaur, and perched on his shoulder, a tiny Nova, a tinkering artificer, a Kender, who has used her magic to shrink herself down and is clinging to the Minotaur's shoulder. And above them, you have Vishard, the tortured ranger, who has escaped with them from the prison. The 4 of you are climbing now down the cliff and away from the keep, and below you, some 1,000 feet below you, is the town of Dargard. Now it's surrounded on all sides by thinning fortress, farmlands, small dots of buildings, but the wind is howling fiercely and you have a long climb ahead of you. So everyone, as we start today, I would love for you to make me an athletics check.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Athletics.
With an 8, Vishard, you being on the top of the rope as you're climbing down this icy cliff, the wind is picking up and it's blowing you back and forth. And even though you're using pittance to hold yourself in and kind of steady yourself as you climb, you're tied to the rope. For a second, you lose your grip and you find yourself swinging. Now, the rest of you below, you can feel the weight of Vishard's body as he starts swinging away from you above. Vishard, you slam your left shoulder into the icy cliff, and for a second, you feel like you're falling.
Do I feel or am I falling?
You'll know in another second.
Oh, shoot.
Is there anything you'd like to do? Is there anything in this moment, what's going through his head?
I mean, I've just knocked my shoulder. I think I'm going to try to grip the rope as hard as I can and throw all my weight on the surface of the mountain. Trying to slow down my fall if I'm actually falling and try to keep the rope close so that I can try to get both hands back on it.
All right, I want you to make me a strength saving throw.
Is that Tesla?
Nope, that's someone else's cat.
And we're back. All right. So, Vishard, you reach out to try to slow your descent, and at the same time, the rope pulls away from you, the knot around you not holding against the pressure. You try to slow and slide down, holding on to the icy edge of the cliff. The cliff is angled away from you. It's actually getting smaller, and you can't gain purchase. Everyone above you, you see him struggle for a moment against the cliff, and then another gust of wind comes and it hits your shoulder like a hammer, and you find yourself falling. He's about 10 feet above the rest of you. You see him beginning to fall through the air. Like I said, it's about 1,000 feet down below.
Well,
in anticipation, so if we're climbing down casually, I'm going to see this. I'm going to wrap my arm around the rope, like wrap it around my arm 4 times, and then cinch it around my wrist, and then grab on the rope so I have a steady hold with one arm, and try to anticipate how he's going to fall.
All right. I like this idea. So give me an athletics check and
22.
an intelligence saving throw.
No, I don't think that's right. Intelligence.
That's a stat?
What?
All right.
So with a 14, because I'm going to give you the disadvantage since your intelligence saving throw is so bad, you reach out and it's a very good reach. You've got a very good grip on the rope, but you go in the wrong direction. He kind of crosses over past you, and I'm going to give Vishard one more chance to try to grab onto you, but it's going to be a stretch. Vishard, I want you to make me your choice of athletics or acrobatics and describe for us one more time, as he has the last moment before he's completely lost to the wind, how he tries to get back to Rookone or the rest of the group.
I think because I have my equipment that I have. I'm thinking at the same time. I don't want to die. Okay, I have a hatchet on me tied to my waist, and I think I'm gonna try to use it as a pick. and break into. Is it pure rock or is it like rock covered in ice?
It's kind of hard to tell. It's definitely icy. There's
Okay.
probably stone beneath it because this is also the foundation. This cliff sort of forms the foundation of the castle up above it.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So I'm gonna use the hand axe as a makeshift pick, and just try to throw all my weight behind it and hook it somewhere, maybe between two stones or in a crack, or if there's none, I'm gonna try to, hit as hard as I can to make a crack, and try to slow my fall down using this, even if I have to scrape my whole face and body on the stony surface of the cliff doing so.
Go ahead and roll me an attack roll on the cliff.
Sure, Cliff doesn't have a lot of armor, right? Oh, come on. Can I use my inspiration?
I will let you. I always give people one time they get to use their inspiration. Usually you have to call it ahead of time.
But
But
then you know what? No. I'm gonna let
it go.
Yeah, we'll play fair.
All right. So you all see Ruko, and you've reached the wrong way, and he's fallen past you in the other direction now, beyond your reach. You see him take the hand axe. He tries to thrust it into the side of this cliff, and it bounces out of the ice. He loses grip of it. It reverberates off of his hand. The hand axe goes flying off behind you, Bashard, into the wind. Agatha and Nova, what are you doing in this moment?
Oh, there's not really a whole lot I can do here, so I'm pretty sure she's just holding on to Rukon and just burying her face because she didn't want to watch.
I think Agatha is like looking up, trying to work out what's going on at the top of this rope because she can't see until she sees Bashard kind of come past Rukon, and then she understands what's going on. Is there like a ledge or something she can see anywhere nearby?
Yeah, roll me a perception check.
Okay.
It is blustering and snowing, and as you're kind of trying to like look all around you very quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly. 14.
There is what looks like a ledge. You can't be sure if it's just a huge mound of snow on the edge of like a narrow, icy cliff, if it actually could support weight. It is about 50 feet down from you and Vashard, so it's still quite a drop, but it's possible with some help or with some effort he could make his way and land there.
I would like to Misty Step to that point. I want to free myself from the rope that's kind of wrapped around me and just Misty Step to that ledge. And I want to try and break his fall when he gets that, he gets by there.
All right.
I'm running out of spell slots, but...
So you're going to Misty Step away and try to take him towards the ledge and fall yourself as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, give me an athletics check. You Misty Step and you poof away from your rope, and Vashard, you see the dwarf appear from the mist beside you.
No! I'm so good at athletics, too. Slippery on this mountain, yo!
She crashes into you, and you're both falling, but Agatha, you're not sure that you made it. You're not sure if you're gonna hit your target down below.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give Rukon and Nova one more chance to influence things here, and then we'll just resolve as it lay.
All right, so Agatha's beneath us. She Misty stepped up.
Down, like right? It was like across and down.
It's just above you now, so you kind of like went just above yourself and over to the side.
Yeah.
So all right, so I missed so she's Agatha's above us now, or did she go?
Yeah, you went to the left and she's above you and to the right, but just barely.
Okay, so reminiscent of the Tyrannosaurus Rex cage Jeep scene in Jurassic Park, I'm going to try to recognize the folly of my ways while still holding onto the rope and using my hands and feet to skitter across the rock to try to get to them in a remote amount of time. Not undoing my arms, so just reaching across my body with my other arm to try to grab onto one of them.
Okay. I'm going to give you disadvantage and an athletics check to see if you can stretch, because you're trying to like reverse direction.
Okay. Okay. Can I use an inspiration to negate that?
I'm going to say no, because this is a donation disadvantage that you got.
Ooh, so it's like
somebody wanted you to fall.
Oh, I know who that was. 16.
All right, so you aren't able to grab hold of them quite, but you do as you almost you get to them and they're below you by the time you pull your body around. You are able to give them just enough of a swing that they are able to fall the 50 additional feet and land on that ledge. And Agatha and Vishard, as you fall, all of this happening within the span of just a second and a half, 2 seconds. You fall 60 feet. You crash through snow that's double your own height into what feels like hard rock. You hear it crack beneath you, but after a second of being unsteady, as you're kind of pulling yourself up, the snow falling all away from you, you feel steady there for the moment. You will take falling damage, the both of you, and it is going to be 66 falling damage.
I am out.
That is 28 damage.
Oh, I heard 66.
No, 6D. Sorry, no, that's very different. But it is, I did roll pretty high, though. That's still 28 falling damage.
I'm still alive.
So am I.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
I hate mountains. Have I told you that? I hate mountains.
I'm coming around to that way of thinking. I prefer hills. Not quite as far to fall.
I'll stick to the woods.
Agatha wants to try and like claw her way up. She needs to check on like Rookon and Nova, because we just screwed them. One at the top fell down and one at the bottom fell down. That's not a good combo when you're climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nova's on Rookon's shoulder. Mm-hmm. So right now it's really Rookon that all of the attention kind of turns towards. So Rookon, you've wrapped your arm 4 times around this rope and you're holding on to the rope, but now you're stuck in the position where above you the rope is loose and becoming looser, and below you the person who is climbing and thrusting the piton lower, then kind of leading the way down, is gone. You, for the moment, are steady on the rope, but you're kind of at an impasse. What are you going to do now?
I turn to the shoulder that Nova is on. Well, up or down?
Well, I don't think we want to fall down, but I don't think we should go back up. They found a ledge below us, right?
It's about 50 feet below you, so you could try to climb down and jump over to it.
Sweet. Cool. Well,
all the the direction we're headed.
All the cliffs a stage. Let me loosen my grip on the rope to try to control descend 50 feet, and then take whatever if I'm doing it in a controlled manner, but whatever burn damage comes from the rope on my arm, I'll definitely take that, but to not use my momentum in a negative way.
I understand. So you're trying to do this in a controlled, subtle way, but you're using your strength. So I'm going to let you make an athletics check here. You are still greased up currently. So
that is correct.
Maybe that'll ease the rope burn, like lubrication.
Yeah, just slide right down that rope.
I'm going to say it gives you disadvantage.
Oh no.
And would an inspiration negate that disadvantage?
This time, yeah, because this is my disadvantage this time.
All right, let me cross that thing out. Okay. All right, let's do this regular athletics check. Bada bing. Well, you slide down the rope very controlled. As a matter of fact, you're even able to, as you're going, you're even able to steady your center of gravity, your core, gripping onto your core, so that as the wind's blowing you, it's actually blustering you around less and less. And you get to where the last piton is thrust through the ice. And it's still about 20 feet above this ledge. You could jump down from here, or you could try to give me a survival check if you want to climb down this mountain or climb closer to the ledge the natural way. I'll do survival check, spend an inspiration for an advantage.
I was gonna say, can I help look out and point out maybe nice grab handles that I see?
Yeah. Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Nova.
Oh, that's right. I dump statted half my stats. That's fine. Oh, it doesn't matter. I have eagle eyes.
I'm not gonna make you spend an inspiration, Rookone, though I think we just got one in from chat for everybody. With a natural 20, Nova, you see exactly where to go. So you're able to guide him perfectly.
From his shoulders. Want to grab that ledge over there, and then put your foot down there, and then just keep going. There you go.
Okay.
Right,
This
yep,
one?
Yep, that one right there. Mm-hmm. That one's really structurally sound. Yeah.
Wait, the brown one or the browner one?
The darker brown one.
Darker brown, yeah.
And then you're gonna move to the reddish brown.
The red. Oh, is that? Wait, to my left or to my right?
Left and slightly down.
My left or your left?
It's the same left.
What? It is.
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So survival check then.
No, I'm going to say with a natural 20 that Nova's actually able to basically walk Rook through this, and with your good athletics check, you're able to stay steady. So you're moving down and climbing down and getting closer to Agatha and Vishard. Agatha and Vishard, as you're watching them, actually do a pretty good job of making their way towards you, and it seems like you could get back on track here after a rough start. Both of you can roll me a perception check.
Also, not Agatha. I'm Agatha. Nova, don't do the hands thing, because Rook will copy. Would be bad.
Well, I'm hoping it's out of his peripheral. I was just double checking to make sure the left was good.
They're both L's.
Fantastic.
I got some ice in my eye.
I saw a 3 and a 5. So as you're very focused on them coming down, they get very close now to the point where they're just about 5 feet above you and 5 feet out from the edge of this cliff that you're on, this platform that you find yourself on. And it's not until then when you hear a shrill cry from somewhere above you. The sound is piercing and choked like the cry of a dying bird. And then you see, too late, a spectral figure up there circling the base of the castle. It's a pale-faced woman wearing a spectral green gown. She's flying. She's riding in the back of an open chariot that seems to be crafted from something bleach white. Her chariot is pulled by a large black-scaled wyvern. And even from up here, you can see that it has shining, bright, sharp teeth. It's about half the size of the dragon that you faced, Rookone. It's a large creature. And as she's moving around and circling around, she suddenly turns towards you, looks down, and screams again, that choked and dying bird call. And the chariot begins to fly lower. You can see as she dives that she's wielding a longsword that seems to be blue and made of the same ice that forms on the side of the cliff.
This isn't going to be good. Agatha is like already drawing that longbow and one of the arrows from her quiver and lining it up. She knows how to kill a wyvern. She's done that before.
All right. Is anybody else doing anything in preparation? Rookone and Nova, you're still currently on the rope.
Are we on the ledge though?
No, not yet.
What do we have to do to get on the ledge?
If you want to get on the ledge, you could jump.
How far are we now? We got closer.
You're 5 feet out and 5 feet above, so it wouldn't be the hardest jump, but it's not like you're jumping from a solid platform to a solid platform. You're gonna have to kind of swing, Rookone.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Nova, are you staying on Rookone, or are you jumping on your own? Do you have your own plan?
I'm staying on him, but if he looks like he's going down, I'm gonna jump off his shoulder and hopefully get that little bit of advantage to make it.
You're doing the double Mario jump. All right.
I'm prepared to do that.
Vishard, what are you doing?
I'm gonna follow Agatha's lead and pull out my longbow. Is the wyvern within 60 or so feet from us?
Not yet, but if it continues to move at the speed it is currently, then within a turn it would be.
All right, then in that case, I'll just nook an arrow and that fly at the wyvern.
Fantastic. All right, so I want everybody to go ahead and roll me initiative first, and I'm going to give Agatha and Vishard advantage on their initiative roll because they are preparing, whereas Rookone and Nova are leaping.
But what if you naturally get advantage on initiative rolls?
Then you're lucky.
Ooh.
20 or 20.
Natural 20 for me, 22.
A 22 and an 18 for Rook. Okay, so those are some good initiative rolls. All right, so we have Agatha.
I got to look up what my bow does. I haven't used it yet. Very excited.
Yeah. All right, so Agatha, you'll go first here, and you've knocked your bow and you're drawing it and you're waiting, and you see that chariot continue to descend. It actually picks up speed, and as it gets closer, you can see that the chariot is actually made out of bones, many bones. They don't look like large bones. They look like humanoid-sized bones, and that spectral figure riding on it screams again, that dying piercing sound. Then you loose your bow once it reaches into your range. It's about 60 feet away at this point, so it's just at the edge of your guys' bow range. So you can go ahead and make me your attacks there.
I would like to use one of my advantages.
All right.
Hello? Ooh. There we go.
And tell me, what are you firing at?
The wyvern. She's lighting up. She's looking at that wyvern. The spectral figure seems a bit wishy-washy. She'd really like to stop the headache, but it's the wyvern. She remembers a time in a forest where she fought something similar, and this bow had saved her life then, and she's hoping it's going to do the same now. Just full release.
As you release, it sails through the air, and despite the fury of the wind, it strikes true. It hits the wyvern right in its neck, and you can see that the arrow, its shaft is sticking between two scales. It howls and it twists its neck for a second. You can see green liquid dropping from its open maw, falling down the chasm into the town and lands below. That's a hit for 8 piercing damage.
It's actually 10. I need to fix that because it's taking my dex instead of my thing. But yeah, it's 10.
Perfect. All right. And what else are you doing on your turn?
I think for now that is actually all she's gonna do. She's just gonna reload, get another arrow ready. I don't think I'm gonna use a bonus action right now.
Okay. Then in that case, Nova, it's your turn. Rookon is starting to get the momentum to jump, but he hasn't jumped yet, and you're still on his shoulder. This wyvern and its rider has swooped down, screaming. It's coming towards you and Rookon. It's about 60 feet away at this point.
Oh, it's about 60 feet away? Perfect. I was afraid it'd be closer. I'm gonna just pull out my... Because I'm Rokon's got this jump, right? I'm gonna pull out my wand of fireballs. This lady doesn't seem to be very nice, so I'm gonna let her have it. So she needs to make a dexterity. Oh, she and the wyvern, I guess, need to make dexterity saving throws.
Yep.
All right. How many? Oh, and it's full of charges. All right, let's just use. It's a 3rd, 4th, 5th. Let's just make it a 7th level fireball.
7th level fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she.
Remind me not
Like
to
what,
piss
right?
you off.
So the wyvern gets an 8 and she gets a 22.
Okay. Well, it's basic one to fireball, so the DC is 15. So, let's see, that's gonna be a lot of D6s. See, it's 8d6 and then an additional d6 per spell level. So, 9, 10, 11. I'm not counting right.
16d6.
But it's 5 plus. It's 5
Plus.
as the base.
No, it's 8d6 and a fireball. Or is it 5d6? I could be
Let's see here.
Fireball in 5th would be 8d6, I think.
Done, because I'm a noob. I forgot I have extra attack.
That's okay. Yeah,
it's
I thought.
8d6, and then it adds in 1 for extra one. So, 3rd level's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, 12 d6.
D6. Let's do it.
What, 40?
So the fireball explodes. The rider pulls back on the ghostly reins, and the wyvern pulls up and begins to crest upward, protecting the rider from half of the damage, but the wyvern takes the full brunt of the fireball. How many charges do you have left?
I have 2 charges left.
Jesus, what kind of...
Excellent. So the wyvern falls from the air, begins to spiral downward. It looks like it's sailing towards the actual cliff itself. You can hear the explosion, the reverberations of sound all around you. Nova, you're small on Rookon's shoulder. Your entire body is shaking.
I'm laughing maniacally. Yes!
And
Beautiful.
are you doing anything else on your turn?
Holding on real good.
And Agatha, right, you're getting ready for I'll let you do your multi-attack.
Okay, I totally forgot because it's not listed on the bonus action, so my brain didn't process.
So you draw and knock back the second arrow right as this explosion happens, and there's just a blast of yellow light, and for a second you're dazed. Then you see above you the wyvern pulling upwards, and it looks like it's sailing, like maybe it's partially falling towards the cliff. You are able to loose your second shot.
That's an 18 to hit.
That is a hit.
Okay. And that's 6 piercing. That's still
Is
wrong.
is that 8?
Piercing.
Okay. You stick it again with another shot. It doesn't change its course at all. It's still sailing past Rookon and Nova. And that brings us to Vishard.
All right, so it is within 60 feet now, isn't it?
It is.
All right, so I'll, as a bonus action, I'll point at the wyvern and mutter under my breath. Forgot the word from last time. So we'll go with Vinyup and cast Hunter's Mark on the creature, and as an action, I will let loose 2 arrows in its direction.
All right, take that shot.
First shot is a 16.
That is a hit.
And the second shot is a 24.
Both of them are hits.
All right, so 8 piercing damage for the first, 8 piercing for the second. Seems like it's always the same. And then an extra 3 for, so 16, 19 points of damage total.
Perfect. All right, and then are you standing put afterwards? Are you doing anything?
Yeah, I'm standing my ground on the ledge that we're on.
Excellent.
Actually, I'll try to back up so that my back touches the wall.
Yeah.
Like the cliffside. Just I'm sort of kind of afraid of falling again.
I think it's legitimate. So you press your back up against this icy nook here, and right as that second shot goes off, and you begin to prepare again. Rookone, you are swinging. You're almost ready to jump, and then the explosion above you happens. It is your turn currently. You can try to jump to the ledge or stay on the rope.
I'm gonna jump on the ledge. I'm gonna commit to the cliff. I'll spend an inspiration for advantage.
Excellent.
28.
Roll me
Nope.
a dexterity saving throw. I just want to see how graceful you are.
I have advantage on. No, I don't. That's dex save. Wait, no. Yeah, dexterity
Dex saves
on,
when you are only when you're is it all the time or when you're raging?
against things I can see.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll give you that.
20.
So Rookone and Nova, you fly through the air. It's not a long jump, but the wind is against you, and it is tricky. For a second, you don't think that you have enough momentum to make it, but then you do, and you crash through a pile of snow, and Rookone, your feet slam into what feels like rock and ice beneath you, and you can hear that something crack beneath your feet. But for a second, you're steady there. We'll call that your action. Do you want to do anything with your bonus action?
Turn around, ready my shield. I'm not going to rage because I want to keep my cool because we're on a cliff and I can't be stupid. So I gained some of my intelligence back enough to make that decision.
You're growing.
I'm growing. So we made it. That was some trick you did there with the explosions. How did that happen?
Oh, I just threw a fireball at him. I made this contraption, and it's really tiny right now because she's small. But it's got kind of like a glowy tube with like coils and wires all around it. Looks real strange.
I have really big neck muscles. I can't see. So.
Oh, okay. I'll show you after we're done dealing with this crazy lady.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And it's right about then that you hear that choked scream again. It's piercing but short, and the wyvern turns away from the cliff wall, dodging it, and it loops back around and dives towards the four of you there on a fairly narrow cliff. It's about 5 feet wide and about 15 feet long. Bishard's got his back pressed up against the back wall. Agatha's kind of in the middle, and Rookone and Nova, you're sort of on the ledge, and it dives towards the front group, the three of you, not Bishard, who's kind of pressed up into the back. And the wyvern's going to attack first, and it's going to attack Rookone with its claws. About a 24.
24 hits.
All right, so You take 17 slashing damage. You can feel these razor sharp long talons tear into your flesh, and then its muscles contract around your arms, and two of its front claws, this wyvern, wrap around your arms and grapple you.
As I see this, can I use my reaction to take a shot with my longbow, using that sweet dwarven magic it has?
Yep, you sure can.
Sorry, Billy, did you have a reaction you wanted to do first?
Nope.
13?
13's a hit.
That's correct damage now.
Okay, cool.
And, with that hit, I could use the additional effect, but I'm not going to since we're on a tiny ledge and that won't help me right now.
Absolutely. So you loose another bow right as its face is almost like just a few feet away from yours, and then it pulls up after being shot, sails past you. It grabs and tears into Rokon. Meanwhile, on the bone chariot behind it, flying through the air, Vishard, you can see the face of the woman in the green gown, and it's the face of the same woman that visited you in the cell when you were alone. The face that looks like, at least, your wife's face. And she's wielding a long sword made of ice.
Don't let her near me. She's coming for me. She's coming for me.
And though she's not quite to Vishard yet, it does seem that they're flying in that trajectory. Meanwhile, as the chariot passes by, she uses her reaction to make a long sword attack at Agatha, swooping down with it as the chariot passes you. That's going to be a 21.
Hits.
That would be 7 slashing damage and 10 cold damage from her icy longsword.
Okay.
Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
would you say that with the Sentinel feat, I'd have time to both draw and make an attack on her with my longsword as she's passing by?
She's not within your range yet, and she actually
Okay.
won't get to you this turn.
Okay.
But next turn, considering
Sure.
all things, she might. So the answer would be yes if that comes to pass next turn. That's the end of their turn. We're back up to Agatha.
She'll just drop the bow, draw that long great sword of hers, and she's gonna start dueling with this woman in front of her.
All right.
I just need to upgrade my little sword. Great. Sorry, I was bad and I didn't do this. There we go. +1. Okay. Pew. 12.
Versus that's a hit.
3C lady. Okay. That's attack number 1. And then, yeah, I'm just gonna swing again. Oops, not that one. That one.
That's also a hit.
Alright, and that's 10.
All right.
And that is all I'm gonna do.
Great. So you swipe twice, and it seems like your blade passes through her. The gown doesn't tear. There's no tearing of flesh. For a moment, her form sort of shimmers, becomes hard to see, like you're looking through mist, and then it kind of reforms afterwards. Each time you can see some sort of twisted reaction on her face. And though Vishard sees his wife, you see a woman with a simian skull and scraggly hair, a mouth that's too long, a jaw that's dropped down too low, and a tongue that hangs out of it, dancing back and forth, blowing in the wind.
I look over my shoulder to Vishad. What does she want with you? Who is she? What is it?
It's just torture. It's just she's with Soth. Was my warden. At least I think. I don't know, I just want her to go away.
And at that, it's Nova's turn.
All right. So, I'm gonna summon my best friend, Mr. Pew Pew, right behind Rukon, and tell him to climb up the cliff 15 feet so that he's above us. And
Wait, who's your best friend?
oh, it's my arcane turret.
Mr. Pew Pew. Okay.
He's got big googly eyes. That I definitely just painted on to make him have more character, because it gets real lonely in the workshop sometimes. So I made a friend. And he's got a seat with a seatbelt and everything, so we can go on joyrides together. But right now, I'm a little small, so I just tell him to climb up the cliff face 15 feet and to take a nice attack at this lady.
Awesome.
So that's what's going to happen. Oh, I don't think an 11 hits though.
An 11 doesn't hit. No.
He's ready. He's up there.
What's the shot look like? Like, what does it shoot at her?
So it looks almost like just shockwaves through the air. It's force damage, so it's almost like just vibrations through the air. Just
so those vibrations go past her and actually kind of almost go past you. Some of the snow comes up off the ground in a puff of flurry. For a second, the snow stings your eyes and you can't see. Is there anything else?
Wipe my face off on some of Ruko's greasy fur. No, that's my action. Bonus action. For good.
Okay.
Gonna sit
Vishard, it's your turn.
All right. How close is the banshee from me?
About 10 feet.
Can I? But she's 10 feet and she's still in the air, though.
She's like about 5 feet above you. You could reach her. Like Agatha just swung her sword up and was able to pass through her.
Would I be able to, like, judging by the distance, would I be able to try to disarm her? Like, would my sword reach her arms?
Oh, yeah, you could try it. I'd give you that.
I'm going to.
You'll have to move up to the edge of the cliff, though, which means an opportunity attack from the wyvern.
I'll take it.
Okay. So you move gingerly. You're pushing through the snow because you have to kind of wade through it to get back up. It is difficult terrain, but it's only 10 feet. So you're able to get to the edge and you're shoulder to shoulder with Agatha. And you're able to swing a disarming attack. But first, the wyvern's head follows you. You can see its eyes watching you. That green ichor drops from its mouth, from its teeth, and sizzles and burns in the snow where it drops. And right as you're past where it has Rukon grabbed, its neck turns and attempts to bite you in the back with its fangs.
Yes.
But in doing so, it can't quite reach you. You actually push through the snow and you feel its breath on the back of your neck. You can feel the heat from it. You kind of fall through the snow for a second. You're underneath. It pulls back away and then you pop back up. And in doing so, since it got a critical failure, I'm going to actually free up Rukon. And in this struggle, it loses its grip, its grapple on Rukon. You're able to make your attack, Shard.
All right, and is it just a regular attack?
Are you trying to do the disarm?
Yeah, disarmor.
Yeah, go ahead and give me first a regular attack.
All right, I'll burn one of my inspiration on it, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
For a 25.
And then give me an opposed athletics.
And can I burn another inspiration on it?
Absolutely.
And I'll burn my second inspiration. For a 22.
So describe how you disarm her from her icy blade.
So I think holding the longsword with both arms, I let go of the longbow, just drop it on the ledge. I move up, avoid the wyvern, move up next to Agatha, and I'll scream, "Leave me alone! Leave her alone! Leave me!" And I'll just swipe with my sword high and hit her on the knuckles and pry the blade free from her hands. If possible, I'd like to aim it so that the blade falls off down the cliff.
Absolutely. So you slice upwards towards her knuckles, but like with Agatha, as your blade crosses through what should be flesh, there's no flesh there. Her hand turns to mist for a second, spectral and green. Your blade does connect with the hilt of her icy longsword, which is real, it is tangible, and the force of the attack sends it spinning off. You can see it falling and tumbling down into the depths below. Her hand reforms afterwards, and her head turns towards yours. Her eyes look at you blankly. There's no emotion there. She's close enough now that you could embrace her. Her head is getting closer and closer to yours.
She's a ghost. She's an illusion. Don't fall for it, Bashad.
I think I still have another attack, so I'll move my sword down and get closer to her and just whisper, "You're not real. He's killed her." And I'll stab her, impale her on the blade.
All right, take that attack.
Sounds super cool until I miss. 18.
Now that's a hit.
Cool. For 5 points of slashing damage.
As your blade passes through what should be her heart, if she had a heart, you can see her face now for what it truly is, something inhuman. She opens her mouth wider and wider and wider. As you're staring into that gaping hole, you can see what looks like another person in there, tiny, difficult to discern their features in the back of her mouth, and that person lets out a scream. You can hear that choked, brief cry pierce your ears, and then she pulls away from you again. Anything left you would like to do on your turn?
Nope, I think that is all. That's all I can do anyway.
All right, Rokon, it's your turn.
All right. So, how are they visibly appearing? I know they just got blasted to shit with a fireball.
The wyvern that just let go of you, that grappled you and then lost you, seems to be unsteady in the air, whereas before it was flying gracefully. Now its wings are flapping and looks like it's barely able to keep itself up. The spectral figure, it's a little harder to tell. She seems to reform every time she's struck.
Gotcha. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do since we're so high up. I'm going to use my bonus action to go into a rage. And then after the wyvern releases me, I'm going to take my shield, kind of clear away with my hand, and then strike it with the dwarven shield of the hammer and use its ability.
Oh, okay. So that's a strength saving throw from them both, right?
Yes.
So that is going to be a 9 for the maiden.
All right, that's a fail.
And an 8 for the wyvern.
That is also a fail.
So what are you striking with the shield?
So I try to move the wyvern's head out of the way to kind of get even ground between both of them, and then strike the wyvern with the shield and let the force from the blow emanate towards both enemies.
All right. So as you do this, the shield forces vibrations. It's very much like the vibrations that the Mr. Pew Pew shot, except for it's much broader. It's coming outward from the force of impact. You can all feel your hair go back. You can feel your bones rattling. You can see the snow flying up in the air. The creature and the banshee turn away. They're forced back by it when they fail their saving throws, and they go dipping down, flying below into the depths. You're standing there on the edge, Rokon starting to rage, and you all hear crack, 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 crack. Snow begins to slide off of the edge. Vishard, where you stood behind you, where there's an icy ledge that you'd pressed your back up against, now you can see above you just a fury, a mountain of snow beginning to descend straight towards you to wash like a wave towards the four of you. Starting with Rookone, because it's still your turn and you're raging. I'm going to give each of you a chance to react here.
Everyone to me!
And then he's trying to... so Nova's still there. I'm going to try to, within like arm's reach, grab Vishard and Agatha and pull them in.
Yeah, I would let myself be pulled in. I don't think I can fight off Rookone anyway.
Rupog!
And then I'm just going to try to squeeze them in and try to like encompass them in my girth. That was the poor word choice. But like squeeze them tight to try to maintain as much control of the situation as possible. So I'll be making all the most of the taking the brunt of this stuff.
So you are able to grab them and pull them in, and just as you do, that avalanche with a roar, with a sound that is deafening, it collapses on top of you. You feel everything beneath you fall away, and you are all falling, buried. You can't see anything, but you are gripping onto each other. Rookone, make me an athletics saving throw.
Okay, this will be advantage now because I'm raging. Crit!
You hold on to each other, and the avalanche takes you. Rookone, you wake up. You find yourself on a soft bed of grass beneath the shade of a kingly tree. It protects your face from the light of a hot afternoon sun up above you. And beyond you stands a sea of green, rolling hills painted by too many white rose bushes to count. You feel comfortable here, better rested than you have felt in days.
I get up, I look around. This place is familiar.
You've not seen it in the light of the day. You've not seen it so empty, but these are the hills that you have howled at under the moon in your visions. That you've seen the beast, that you've seen your friend has grown thin, that you've seen the lunatics picking white roses from the bushes and putting them in wicker wooden baskets. As you look around now, you don't see anyone except for a lone figure, an old dwarf standing beside the trunk of the tree, leaning on a walking stick, wearing simple merchant's clothes. He looks out at the rolling hills, smiling gently at the vast and empty countryside. And then he says, The world was once such a beautiful place, wasn't it?
It was. But not all of it.
Well, no, not all of it. And I suppose it doesn't do any good to weep over what's been lost, but on days like today, where you can see just a glimmer of the old beauty, well, I just can't help myself. I get a little sad.
Yeah. Is this the end?
Oh, I hope not, young man. I truly do. No, this isn't the end. Not for you, anyhow. Not yet.
How is this not the end? We're on the face of a cliff.
Well, where you are and where you are sometimes two different things, Ragon. Surely, in all of your adventuring, you've learned that by now.
In ways, I suppose I was just trapped in the vision. I've learned some things. And I could ask, where are we? But I know that. I could also ask, when are we? And I feel that would be more appropriate.
Albin Shortlock Hammerfist cracks a friendly smile towards you, and he takes a few short steps over, reaches an old hand shaking a little bit up to pat your shoulder. And he says, well, where you are is in the town of Dargard. Safe and sound and sleeping. You'll wake up there soon enough. As for when you are, well, I think that you know that things in this world are different than things in our world. But we have a chance to make things right.
How do we do that?
Oh, well, I don't know. Not yet. But I think that you and the others, you're figuring it out as you go, and that's all we ever did when I was a young adventurer. We figured it out as we went along. That's the best we could do.
It seems like an endless tide of darkness keeps... The undertow keeps pulling us in, and the only thing I can think of to keep it at bay is tiny little selfless X.
You've changed a lot since the first time I laid eyes on you, and for the better. You might think this world is dark and pulling at you. But do you feel less yourself or more yourself since you've come here?
More myself. I've seen the immense brightness in others. Their friendships are a gift. I thought it was all over since I became a slave. The endless hope of others has shined a new light on me.
You know, I used to be an adventurer myself.
You still are. I've seen what you're capable of.
Well, I do what I can, but it's different now. My friends are gone. All of my friends, we used to go on adventures together. They gave up on being heroes a long time ago. I just wish that I had fought harder to help them see the truth. The world needed them. Maybe you can convince your friends that the world needs them now.
just a matter of getting on the same page. Everyone's doing what's best for them, and there's something greater. That just means letting go of the past.
You know, Rokon, you can let go of the past, but the past will find you and it will hold on to you. It's not going to be easy. You know what waits for you here, don't you?
I do. But it's my burden to carry. I shan't let the pains of that leak onto anyone else.
You're going to need your friends, Rokon, and they're going to need you.
How can I
I'm
help
sorry,
them?
I have to go soon. I don't want to go, but that's how these things work, isn't it?
Why don't you come with us? One last time. One last adventure.
Oh, I think you'll be seeing me one last time, but not yet, my friend. Many miles to go for me, but you should sleep. The sun's setting, and it brings with it the change. And he raises up his walking stick, and he points up beyond the shade of the great tree to where the sun is now set. You can see the last of its colors already disappearing over the hilly horizon.
Thank you for your kindness.
It's the least I can do. After everything I've done.
I would like to hear that story sometime.
He's gone. He's no longer there as you turn to look back.
Take a deep breath, let it out, kind of gaze at the new light on this location.
As the light of the moons fall down upon the hills, twilight being missed entirely, it going from day to night, which in Nightland is very different. You see with the moonlight appearing where you thought there were just trees and bushes before, individuals, many of them, lunatics dressed in rags, carrying baskets full of white roses, standing in a circle at the bottom of the hill that you're on, and you can see in front of them, leading them, the tall, gangling, putrid beast. He's pulling up tufts of grass with his hands as he drags his long limbs behind him. He looks up at you. He takes that necklace that has 13 ears, 13 human ears of all different sizes and ages on it. He begins whispering into one of the ears. You can hear that whisper. It sounds like the falling of an avalanche in your head.
I'm the scene. I'm still on the scene.
For a second, yeah. Are you trying to do anything?
I'll directly look at him. I'm ready to listen.
Rokon, the time has come for you to arrive here. Come, join your brothers and sisters. I will care for you.
I cannot stay. I have those who are depending on me. But I'm ready to listen. If you'd only speak.
You don't hear the voice of the beast. You hear the damning cries of the people you killed when you were a slave, when you were a raider. You remember the sounds of Kraga yelling at you to stop fighting. Your brother has grown up. You remember his own cries of fury and betrayal when you turned on him, and jealousy. Those are the sounds you hear. They're so deafening that you're forced to close your eyes. And that is when you drift back to the black and back to sleep. Nova Sparkfire, you wake up first. You feel well rested. You feel like you've been sleeping and in and out for a long time. And you find yourself now on a small bed, the smallest of the four in this room, with your friends. There's a hearth fire. You can hear the crackle of the fireplace. It's providing some warmth, and there's a small window that leads to outside in this little lodge that you find yourself in. You don't remember how you came to be here. The last thing you remember is the avalanche and falling together.
Okay. All right. Well, if I'm the first one awake, I don't want to disturb anyone else's sleep. I'm usually the first one awake. I have a lot of energy. So I'm just going to kind of snoop around the room a bit because I'm real curious as to what's in here and where we are. Just kind of like, peek out the window, open all the cupboards. That kind
Absolutely.
of thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
give me a perception check.
Okay.
First, you peek.
Not an investigation?
Not a what? Oh, yeah, I'll let you do investigation. That sounds good.
18.
So you investigate first the window and you peek up over the window, and what you see beyond is, it looks like in the distance through a thinning tree line, you can see the walls of a town. It seems like you're outside of the walls though, and you can see a large tree trunk that's been hewn. A large wood axe is sticking out from it. You see a pile of chopped wood beyond the window as well. The ground is blanketed in snow. It's like the first snow of the winter. At least you don't remember there being a blanket before.
Mm-hmm.
But you're familiar enough with the area to know that this is the Grove, and the town you think is probably the town of Dargard, which you've been to at least a couple of times, most recently as a prisoner.
Yeah, that seems like it was so long ago, and also just yesterday. So yeah, she'll take that in mind and then look around the room. So everyone's alive and breathing?
Everyone's alive and breathing. And in fact, as part of your investigation check, you can tell that actually it looks like there's been some sort of medical tending to everyone as well. You feel a lot better. You were hurt pretty bad before. And really kind of, first off, you've grown back to your normal size. Yep. And you look down to your non-metal arm, you see the other one's kind of still wrapped up in a sling. But you feel like you can take the sling off and move it around.
I'll leave it on for sympathy points.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
You open up a couple of cabinets here, and this looks like a guest room, you would guess. There's extra blankets, various furnishings, but nothing of particular value other than a really nice looking lamp that's burning low light on the desktop, and another wood axe that's been laid out in the corner there. All of your equipment, although it's not on you, has been gathered and placed in 4 separate chests at the foot of each bed.
Mm-hmm. Most of my equipment's in here. But she'll gather what's not on her person and put back on. And she also steals she borrows a blanket, and just stuffs that into her arm, puts it back on. And then she's gonna check, is there like a crack under the door? Can I like...
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I don't want to open the door because no one else will wake it and I'd be loud, but I want to see if I can see anything underneath the crack.
So as you grab the blanket and you tuck it and you move towards the door, you lean down, you can hear the clank clank and then a sound of something rolling on the ground behind you. It's a pair of silver coins that have landed and kind of rolled around in a circle several times and stopped like just about an arm's reach away from you.
This feels like a trap, but...
You borrow the coins.
I borrow the coins.
You borrow the coins, and you look underneath the door. Now, if you look under this crack as you press your head to the ground, you can see it looks like a hallway. There's dim lighting there. It's all wooden, and it seems to be like, if you kind of stretch, you can see that there's another door maybe on the other side of the hall, but you can't really, it's not directly across, so you can't really see more about it from here.
Okay, well, she doesn't want to let anyone know she's awake, but so she'll go over to Rukon and just kind of like, Rukon, are you awake? Are you awake?
Am I conscious enough to?
Yeah, if she whispers in you, and like that's how you would wake up from what you had just experienced
She's
with
like
her.
2 inches away.
Were you whispering the whole time?
No, I just asked if you were awake just now, and then you just bolted right up, so I assumed you were. Good morning.
Good.
Are still sleeping.
You kind of slipped into an Irish accent there. Was that?
It was not intentional. I don't know how to whisper with a Minnesotan accent.
Okay. Let's I'll be quiet.
Okay.
How are we not dead?
Through the power of friendship, obviously. You just give us all a big hug, and then whoop, we're fine. And snow is pretty soft and cushiony. I figure you could probably follow decent ways, as long as there was enough snow there. I haven't done any testing on it yet. Maybe I should.
Okay, well,
I've mostly tested explosives and fire, not snow and fallen very much.
I'll let her keep equating on the principles of snow as I kind of slowly roll up out of bed and push myself up and kind of quietly gather my things and try to think about where we might be, where we are, what we can possibly do, and then just like put my shield, hang my arms over my shield and just kind of process, sitting down on the floor.
As you sit down on the floor after having gathered your things, your shield actually clanks into the wood boards beside you. And as it does, there's just a small burst. It's not nearly as forceful as the previous burst, but another burst of air and force reverberates out. And it's that shimmering sound, that low-pitched sound, that rumbling that wakes up Agatha.
Where are we?
Oh, we're just outside Dargard, if I looked out the window correctly, which I definitely did. So
how would you look out of the window wrong?
You would be surprised. It happens.
And she like stretches to see if all her body parts are still working.
And as you stretch, I mean, you feel sore. Rukon, you feel sore, but both of you feel better. You're not sure how long you've been asleep. Like with Nova, you kind of remember briefly waking up. You remember a large shape above you. You remember vaguely food and drink, but it seems like through a daze. And you definitely feel better now, but you feel like you've been sleeping for a long time.
Well, that's one way down a mountain, I guess.
Seemed very.
And she'll look over at Bashard, who I hope is in the room in the other bed.
He is, yeah, he is. And I will say this too, just so you guys know, this is your long rest. You guys got a long rest. You benefited from a long rest, which is like winning the lottery in this game. So.
Is he alive?
He's still asleep currently. Is anybody waking him up? He seems to be breathing.
I guess I'll leave him. If he looks like he's breathing, let him sleep.
At one point, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do next.
Well, all your stuff's in the trunks right there at the foot of your bed. There's some extra blankets in the cupboard. And like a pillow. And then there's a hallway with some more doors, I would say.
I've woken up being a guest to someone before and it wasn't all too pleasant. I think I better find out whose hospitality we're relying on.
I agree. They haven't killed us yet, so...
Probably means that they're just a great person or good friends or, you know, just a nice friendly type.
They did leave all of our stuff here.
I like your optimism, Nova. Let's keep that with us. And she'll go over to the door and open it and like peer out. See if she can hear anyone else around.
Agatha, roll me a perception check. Vishard, you've been dreaming a lot for however long you've been sleeping. What's the first thing that Vishard dreams of?
I think I still dream of the time where, and it's been recurring while I was in jail, but the time when I finished carving a wooden rocking horse for Lily, and how she enjoyed it, maybe a bit too much. How Miriam and I had trouble to try to get her off the horse to come eat. She ended up eating while mounting on her wooden rocking horse. She pretended to be a knight all day, and I think that's Vishard's happy place at the moment. That's the only solace he was able to find when he was in Dargard Keep. To just remember the good old times when, you know, his family wasn't shattered and his life was still in one piece.
And now, as you've been sleeping and having this recurring dream, it always changes just a little in the details, maybe the angle that you see your daughter's face or the sound of her voice, whether it's scared or happy. You see her there again and again on that wooden rocking horse that you crafted, wearing clothes that she's painted up to look like armor, to look like the Knights of Solamnia, how she's pulled back her hair and tied it up tight to her head so that she looks more like the knights that she's seen in her life, how she wields a lance that's really just a twig that she shaped from the backyard, but she does it with such reverence. And there's a lot of pride there, and you can tell that she loves the gift that you made from her. And each time in your dreams that you go to embrace her, she begins to ride away on that wooden rocking horse. It's like she can't hear you.
I shout after her. Lily, come back. And I think everyone in the room can probably hear Vishard mutter in his sleep, Lily, come back. Come back. Lily, come back. And I'll jolt awake.
That's where you wake up, seeing Rookone there sitting on the ground and Nova going through her things, probably other people's things.
I already did that. I did that while they were all still asleep.
Agatha, you've cracked open the door and you're looking down this narrow hall. It's a small lodge. You can tell just from looking down this hallway towards what looks like a front area that it's maybe big enough for a couple of people to live comfortably. There is a door on the other side of the hall, and that's it. These two rooms and then some sort of front room from all you can tell.
She'll wander down towards the front room. What is she wearing right now?
So describe what she was wearing before.
So before she had on simple shoes made of leather and fur and bound with a leather cord around her feet, kind of a simple kind of snow boot almost outdoor shoe. And then a simple leather dress with a very fine slight chain underneath, and then just a leather guard over the top of that.
The armor has been removed and placed into the actual bin by the bed, as with any other armor that anyone was wearing. And where if you didn't have clothes packed away, extra clothes, then you find yourself basically in like a very, very large, oversized cloak with a robe matching under it. So did she have an extra set of clothes on her? No. So you were draped in, I mean, this is probably
Call
someone...
me Agatha Hefner from now on. I'm ready.
It takes you a couple of seconds to figure out how not to trip in the clothes. It's definitely the size, maybe almost the size of Rookone. It's a very large figure must wear these clothes.
That mean Nova's wearing that too.
Yeah, if she didn't have extra clothes.
She didn't have her spare change of clothes, but in her arm. So if they didn't take her arm off.
They didn't take your arm
I didn't
off.
know about it.
Yeah.
She rewraps it like a toga. But it comes
So like if you're generally mostly naked to begin with.
Yeah, then nothing's really changed for you.
Okay.
Well, at least whatever I'm draped with is probably cleaner than what I had in jail.
I would say it's safe to bet for all of you that you are cleaner now than you have been in some time.
I'll have you know that's very private information, Jonathan. I'm a pretty clean dwarf. I know what a puddle's good for.
I somehow have like gray smudges all over me again. I've been awake for an hour. It's just like tinkered. It's fine.
Rukone's gonna move over towards Vishard. You spoke of Lily. Were you dreaming of her?
Didn't I? My daughter, yeah.
Is she still amongst us?
I hope to the gods she is. I don't know where she is.
Do you have any leads? Might she be somewhere?
The soldiers, they must have taken her away. I don't know why. I can't believe this is all just punishment for me failing to capture the beast. This is some sadistic game they're playing on me.
The beast?
The beast of Dargard Keep. There's a... Wait, where are we at the moment?
We're right outside the town of Dargard.
Then we're in the territory of the beast. There's a monster that prowls these woods. I was supposed to hunt it down. I failed. Well, I failed. I haven't finished my hunt.
Then there's still hope.
Sometimes I find myself hoping and I find myself despairing because, well, after seeing what they did to Miriam, what hope do I have to think that my daughter is still alive? They're monsters. They're worse than the creature they wanted me to hunt.
Were you alone before?
Before Miriam?
In the hunt for the beast.
Yeah, I was. Just
Now
myself.
you were not alone. Now you have 3 companions.
You would?
He looks
Barely.
around at the rest of the room. I have friends, but I am lost. You were put in my path. Helping you seems like a good option. You've helped us. He looks around at the rest of the room and to try to gauge opinions.
You humble me, Rakon. I didn't think strangers would. We were companions of misfortune. I thought you would be on your way after, well, if we made it down the mountain. But I will welcome any aid I can get. If only to see Lily one last time.
Now, companions of misfortune sounds really grim. I thought we were all just, like buddies.
We could still be buddies and
Okay.
The companions of misfortune.
That's kind of a cool name. It makes us sound really badass. Like we're a lot tougher than we are. Or that we write sad music and perform it in bars and taverns on the weekends. One of the two.
I don't suppose anyone plays an instrument, so we're going to stay away from that.
I can play the lyre.
Well, I don't know that.
There's always
No,
one.
I just say it out loud.
Well, okay. Well, maybe he can play something, but nobody.
We've got our bases covered.
We don't have a bassist.
Meanwhile, Charlie, Agatha's exploring the rest of the house, correct?
She's going towards that front room, or what she thinks in her head should be a front room. She doesn't want to go in the other room. That seems like that would be a private room. But yeah, she's going to go for the front room. Toga set up.
Roll me, I'll give you a choice here of perception or investigation, depending on what kind of tactics she's using as she's looking around.
I think it makes very little difference to Agatha, and she'll have like her ears open. She's just listening to see if she can hear anyone else moving around. She can probably hear them all talking back in the room, picking up the peaks in the volume of the conversation, but listening, smelling.
Yeah, give me a perception check. And as you come into the front of the room, you see that it looks like a comfy sitting lodge. There's a rocking chair. It's a large rocking chair. And you can see on the mantle there where there's another fire. That fire is burning low. It's probably not been stoked or set for a while now. Seems to be no one, at least in this room. You can see set up on the mantle above that fireplace a portrait, several of them. One of them is of a group of men. They're all burly men, some of them larger than others, but they all look like hunters. You've seen a lot before, and they're kind of wrapped around each other. This is not painted particularly well. This looks like an amateur's attempt to create a group painting, but you can see little details on each of them, and a good amount of attention has been put onto parts of the room, which you recognize as this room, because the most detailed element of this portrait is the giant bear's head that is set out on the wall, and you can look up behind you and see that same bear set out in the same wall. It's a massive centerpiece for the room. It's by far the largest adornment here. Now, the other painting looks to have been done by a more professional hand, and this is of a single man. It's a large human, from what you can tell, that he's wearing a brown robe with a large hooded cloak over his head. He's got a huge, scraggly beard. It's hard to tell how big he is, but he's painted to be rather rotund, and he just looks big in all directions. You get the sense that this is the sort, and he's posing too, as well as he can, with like an axe over his shoulder, kind of standing up and looking proud. In the painting, it looks like this is the sort of thing that is very dear to whoever owns it, whether it's the owner is the person in the painting or whether they're related or a loved one. And you scored a 20, right?
I think so. Not in that window, sorry. Yes, 20. 30.
All right. Is there anything in particular that she's interested in finding?
I imagine as she's looking up, she's like, "You look just like my Uncle Elmer, just a bit bigger. God's rest his soul." And she kind of walks around and kind of takes it all in. Some sort of hunting lodge for giants seems, well, it's worse things, I suppose. I think she's just getting a feel, and if she doesn't find anyone here, she's gonna go over and look out to kind of, I guess, the landscape beyond. If there's a window or if there's a door, she'll open up the door and have a look out, kind of thing.
There's a front door here that you can look out, and as you do, you step out onto a small porched area. You can feel that biting cold hit you. As soon as you step out, all the warmth is sucked out of the room. It's not snowing, but there is still snow on the ground, especially in certain patches. It's uneven. You can still see the green sort of frosted grass in some parts. You look beyond to thinning woods all around you. Through them, you think in the distance you can see maybe it's a farm. It looks like grazed, cared for lands in one direction, and in the other direction you can see the walls of the town of Dargard, which I don't think Agatha's ever been to Dargard directly, but you would have at least recognized the walls probably from a distance. So that's what you see all around. You don't see any individuals. You can see some old looking footprints with a 20, I'll tell you without making you roll, some tracks in the snow, but they've sort of dusted over. They look like somebody left a while ago. No sign of anybody returning.
Well, it's nearly home, but not quite. And she'll go back in and she'll shut the door, trying to keep what little heat probably remains in. And then she'll pace around for a little bit, and then she'll go down towards that other door, and she'll knock. Just kind of 3 knocks with the butt of her fist.
You rap on the closed door, even as you can hear their conversation go on in the other room. There's no answer. There's
no one home?
No light spilling out from the bottom of the door either.
Well, all right then. Guess I'll go back. And she'll go back in to the room. Looks like no one's home. But we'll know when they are. Rather big people. She awkwardly adjusts the toga.
I noticed. And it eats Nova, basically.
There's enough for 4 of you in that.
You could probably stack about 6, but if no one's home, then we should make ourselves at home. Obviously, we're guests and not prisoners because there's no bars in the windows and I wasn't in handcuffs. So, is there any food out there?
I didn't see any, but
I'm sure we could find some.
I was rather distracted by the view, to be honest. It's not far between here and this town.
Nope. You can see the walls right from here.
Agatha, I'll say there was above the mantle, the low burning, there was a pot. Now the fire was pretty low. You're not sure if there's anything in the pot. You saw several skins of, maybe they were squirrels or rabbits, some type of small animal, the skins hanging from the mantle. So maybe there's food.
Yeah, that wasn't kind of her priority, so she didn't take it in, but... I suppose you should just follow your nose, Nova. I'm sure that'll lead you to what you're looking for.
It usually does. Just mostly because it's in front of my face. But and that's just coincidence, and she'll just walk out of the room.
And Agatha will follow, kind of have to pick up her toga hem again as it slipped.
You all have you all left your equipment behind in the foot of the bed?
I think so. I mean, there's not much that Nova left behind, but yeah, she's not wearing her armor right now.
She keeps most of it in her arm.
She does.
Or what about Vishard and Rookon? What are you all doing?
Not knowing where we are, I think Vishard will pick up his equipment, put on his armor again. I don't trust where we are. I don't know where exactly. I know we're outside in the grove, but I don't recognize the hut. I'd rather be ready.
I'm going to pick up my gear as well as anybody's leftover gear to try to seeing that they walked outside. They're probably going to want this. Now, the beast that you're hunting, what does he look like? What does it look like?
It's well, from the description I've had, a towering, hulking creature that walks either on 2 legs or 4. It's furry and can apparently take down a bear. Or at least, I saw the carcass of a bear and it was mangled to a point that only such a creature could have had the power to do this.
Was it adorned with anything? Did it have, or was it just an animal? Could it?
My greatest shame, I've never seen the beast myself. I've only seen tracks and droppings and the sight of its many carnages.
Can you create a footprint of it on the ground?
Yeah, if we go outside, I can draw it in the snow if you want.
Okay. And then, so we go outside. I'll have all of the others' stuff. So obviously what, mostly Agatha's, I presume.
Yeah. So.
You are you dragging, you're dragging the chest out into the main area of the lodge?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't leave this. Do I see any of them as we walk out the door?
They're out in the front, so there's a hallway. Yeah, and they're in the front room of this little lodge. Nova, you're out in the front there, and you see the large rocking chair, another small chair that doesn't rock. You see the great big bear head that's hanging on the wall. You see the fireplace with the big pot, fire burning low. Several small creatures, their skins are hanging from the fireplace, properly tended and cared for. And the 2 paintings, one of them amateurish of a group and the other one of a large hunter.
Could I have peeked under that door in the hallway on our way out?
Absolutely, yeah. It is dark in there. There's a little bit of light coming in from the outside that kind of spills through what you imagine as a window. And you see what looks like the feet of a bed that rises up off of the ground, so maybe a little nicer than the beds that you were sleeping on. And maybe the edge of a desk or some sort of other wooden thing.
Okay.
They're already dark, Nova. No one's home.
I was just looking. I wasn't knocking. You want to go in? No, let's get food. Let's get food first. I'm hungry. All right. And then she'll go out and investigate the pot.
Yeah, it smells like some sort of meat stew. Very, very sweet smelling, but definitely meat. You're guessing cinnamon and a lot of other sweeter spices. And it there's no steam rising off of it. The fires burn pretty low. Your guess is it's probably like lukewarm temperature, but there's a ladle there, and there's several bowls set out on a stand near the mantle.
I don't know why you're shaking your head, Charlie. I was just gonna heat us up some bowls of stew with the firebolt.
Mm-hmm. Saw that coming.
So yeah, I'd like to heat it up with a firebolt just a little bit.
Yeah, you're able to do so without setting the house on fire or anything like that.
Good.
It takes a minute to heat up. There's a lot of stew, and as you start to ladle it out there into the bowls, it looks pretty thin. You're guessing that water's been added to the stew many times over. Doesn't look like the sort of thing that a successful hunter would be eating.
Well, I'm a terrible cook, so I'm assuming it's better than anything I would make. Yeah, and she's gonna try it.
You drink it up. It is very watery. It does have like some sort of spice on the back end that is sweeter. You're getting probably cinnamon and some other things. You get a couple of large chunks of greenery there, and several chunks of meat. If you were looking up and guessing based on what's hanging by the mantle, it's probably squirrel.
All right. It's a little watery, but pretty good. Anyone else want some nice hot stew?
I wouldn't mind some. It's been a while since I've had a proper meal.
I'll fish her up a bowl.
At least I think it's been a while. And she like tries to delve back into that fuzziness where there was definitely food and drink. Was that here? Was that somewhere else? And she like slaps a little bit of the stock from the stew.
As you're slurping up the stew and trying to remember back, you remember again that large figure standing over you, and for a second you look up at that painting and see that large figure there, proud and smiling. The smile looks kind of dumb. You could almost, it almost looks like a very noble looking picture, but you get the feeling the more you look at it that whoever the artist was having a little bit of fun with just how seriously the person in the portrait took it. And that's most noticeable on just how kind of dumb the man's smile is. And at that point, as you're eating stew and looking up at it, that's when Rukon and Vishard come back out. Vishard is redressed in his armor, and Rukon is dragging that chest of your equipment out.
Is it? You left your stuff.
Oh, thank you.
You want some stew?
It's good. A little watery, but can't complain.
We wake up in a strange house, and the first thing you do is eat someone else's stew. I think there's a fairy tale about this.
Is there? What did you tell to me?
I think it has negative consequences that involve.
Don't worry, I don't
Does
think.
Does it involve bears? I think I may have heard this one.
It does involve bears.
Speaking of bears, and she'll point up to the wall at the giant bear's head. Also, I don't think this is the first time we're eating in this house.
What do you
The
mean?
stew was cold anyway. I heated it up though, and I didn't burn the house down. So, double accomplishment.
I'm pretty sure we've had a meal or two with Uncle Elmer up there.
Is that his name?
No, but he looks like one of my uncles, and I've kind of taken a fancy of it.
Vishard, now that you're out here, you don't remember ever being here before, but as you look up at that painting, you would recognize the man there. You'd recognize who that is. He's a hunter that you cross paths with multiple times. His name is Terrence Flynn. He's large and likable. He drinks a lot at the taverns in the town. I don't know if you're friends or not. Does Vishard have a lot of friends with fellow hunters?
I think he would be. He's a likable person, I'd like to think. Or he likes to think that he's a likable person. And while he may not have a lot of friends, because life of a hunter is often a solitary one, yeah, he'd go out for a drink with the other hunters from time to time, yeah.
And it's then that you realize that in the second portrait that there's a poor depiction of you amongst that crowd of men who are shoulder to shoulder. some of them with drinks in their hands. Have you ever done anything selfless? Have you ever done anything to go out of your way and help Terrence?
Depends on how selfless you want it to be. Like, I've never taken or you know what? Sure, the wolf in the backstory. I would have put myself between Terrence and the wolf, and I got injured and not him.
Roll me a perception check.
Sure thing. I see nothing.
You see nothing, but you hear a howl outside of the house. It's low and mournful. Not far. Not very far at all.
I rush to the door and I whistle.
There's a couple of seconds of quiet, and you're kind of looking at the door. And then you see your companion coming up over a snowy slope, padding along. That one right there. It's coming up towards you, and as soon as it sees you, it's just rushing full speed through the snow and through the grass up towards you.
I'll kneel down and open my arms and wait for the inevitable charge of
how large is it? Tell us what it looks like.
So it's larger than this, but it's colored. It's the same color fur pattern. It's an old timber wolf. You can see that parts of its fur are missing. There's even a piece of its ear that's gone over years of fighting with other predators and tracking and hunting with me. Its fur is discoloring in places, but you can still see the where the black, the brown, and the white were.
Do we all see this wolf running at Bashard?
Yeah, he's standing in the doorway. He whistles for it and kind of gets low to the ground, and then you see this thing just like pounce on him and like.
Don't do it, Bashard! You've got so much to live for.
It's all right. It's all right, Nova. This is my good friend. This is Shadow. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You're a big slobbery mess.
Looks like one more for dinner, Nova. If you don't mind.
Let me see if I can find a bigger bowl. And she's already shoved a bowl to Ruko, and she'll get 2 bowls. One for Hair Doggo, and then one for Bashard.
And,
Nope.
Ruko?
Thank you. You mentioned Agatha, your uncle Elmer, was it?
Oh, yes.
We're in, I think I know where we are. This is Terrence's hut. He's a fellow hunter. A good lad.
I'm glad someone knows who we owe favors to.
Yeah. And I point to the painting and I say, this is this is me. Right there.
Oh, I see the likeness now that you've pointed it out.
It's, yeah.
Oh. That's a sweet thing. I like it.
Yeah. I like to think that I'm prettier than what they made me out to be.
You know, I think that's the fella we were having food with that I remember. Agatha's gonna skip past. I mean, you look very healthy there. It looks like you've had some sun.
That was before the jail.
Yes. I pet the wolf.
What?
Pet the wolf.
It's fluffy.
Nova, you have so much to live for.
Well, now that I know it's not gonna eat us.
Meanwhile, Rookon, what are you doing as all of this?
So as a bear totem barbarian, I can cast Speak with Animals at will. So I cast Speak with Animals, and then just wait, and then try to gauge its response and like establish a line of communication.
So how does this work exactly for your barbarian? Is there like a telepathic connection with animals, or do you understand its howls?
It's like an empathetic connection. So like I get down on one knee, and then just like knowing eyes meet a pair of knowing eyes, knowing what it's like to be savage and animalistic and primal, and to enjoy the hunt, to know your territory. Fuck you, Greg. And to establish a line of trust and communication.
Okay. So as you're making this empathic connection with the wolf, and it's kind of staring back at you and slobbering, and Nova's petting it, and everybody's getting in on this wolf action. What is it that you're trying to glean? What are you trying to communicate or understand?
It's recent history before just encountering us.
Where it came from, or
where it came from, the safety of this current place that we're in, any knowledge of this beast that Vishard has been hunting.
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. That's athletics, right? Nope.
You feel like it's trying to communicate with you because of the way it's looking at you, and you've had better luck communicating with animals before. You know that it wants something. You can't tell if it wants to avoid something or to make something happen. As you're kind of mulling it over in your head what this wolf wants, it breaks away and kind of pulls away from Vishard and everyone else for a second, and it looks up at Vishard, and it lets out just a quick yelp, almost a howl, but not quite. And then it turns and runs out the door.
I think we ought to follow. And I'll
Right.
take off after.
I'm gonna put my armor on real quick.
What's Agatha doing? Is Agatha putting on armor?
Yep, Agatha is gonna go and open up the chest and put the armor on, kind of over the toga, because this is a nice extra layer.
It's cold outside.
Oh yeah, I'm keeping this robe. It's a nice robe. It's nice.
So it'll take you all a minute to get your armor on. Vishard, Rokon, what are you doing in the meantime? Do you wait for them? Do you go out and try to follow?
I listen for Vishard's response to the wolf. I wait.
I took off right after the wolf.
Okay, then I'll go after Vishard.
Okay. Vishard, you're able to keep up with the wolf. It seems to slow down whenever it starts to run far ahead of you. It stops and it looks and waits, and then it runs a little bit further. And you're almost out of eyeshot of the cabin itself when finally Nova and Agatha, with their armor on as well as they have their equipment, come out, and they can see you. You can see each other in the distance. The wolf stops and turns and sits down on its haunches. Rokon, make me another insight check.
Great news, everyone. 17.
That is better. For a second, it's not that it speaks to you in words, but that you can feel what it's feeling. And what it's feeling is concern, not for you or safety, but for someone else.
Can I get a direction or any sort of other?
I mean, you're following it, and it seems to be running. You would, Vishard, you know this too because you can see it in the distance. It's running towards the town.
What's going on?
He wants us to follow him to the town. I think he might have found Lily. At least I'm hoping.
That okay. Sure. And I'm gonna just put that robe on. Just put up.
Did we
Tuck
get
my
everything?
arm in real good.
Did we get everything from the house?
I mean, I didn't take everything. If you want, I can go back and...
Nova, I don't think he only what's yours. From when you went in the house.
Yes.
All right, let's follow the wolf.
And so you do. And if you're following along, it will keep up. It'll stay ahead of you until finally you get to the gates of the town. Right now, it's late afternoon, early evening. It's a clear sky. It's cold, but it's not as windy as it was before. So it's not really tearing into the bones like it was. And in the town, Vishard, you can see lines of streets and decorations, lanterns of multicolored hues, flames that have been treated with a chemical to make them different colors as well, kind of lighting the way towards the center of the town. And you would know from having lived here your entire life, these are the decorations that they set up for the winter solstice celebration. It's a big event, some years bigger than others in your town. Depending on who's organizing it that year, which is always a very political and hot topic. But if it's winter solstice tonight, that means two things that you would know. One, that there will be no twilight this evening. Unlike every other night in Nightland, it will go from day to night. And two, that if it's winter solstice, you've been sleeping for several days.
Oh. We've been out of it for a while.
Yo.
What kind of a town is this anyway?
Dargard? It's a military fortified town.
A real big floppy McDouchebag running the place. Now they shouldn't recognize me.
What kind of military are you talking about?
Sots Knights.
Draconians.
I don't know, Don, would I have recalled seeing Draconians in the streets?
Yeah, there's not many here. You would know that in other towns, Draconians are more of a police force, but in Dargard itself, it is mostly the Knights of the Crown, led by fewer Knights of the Rose.
It's mostly Knights, not Draconians. The Crown and the Rose, they're led by Knight Commander Sir Clail von Reiser.
Blech.
Or however the good pronunciation should be, but I just butchered it.
A friend of yours, Nova?
Yeah, you could say something like that. We have a bit more of an antagonistic relationship. He tried torturing information out of me for about a week, but I just made fun of him the whole time, and I made him really mad. And so he finally put me in Soth's dungeon. It took him a whole week to just give up.
Wait, he's still alive?
He was when he stuck me in Soth's dungeon.
Damn it.
What's going on?
Doesn't sound like too friendly a town to me.
What do you think? I put my disguise on. She's got like a glove over.
It's a very cunning disguise.
And she's got the rest of it tucked under like the robe. Mm-hmm.
Are these the kind of knights that dislike outsiders? Like the Politskera?
You could say that. As long as we don't attract too much trouble, but...
Don't run through the streets yelling, "Come out and fight me, Soth, you cowardly bastard." That's one surefire way to get arrested.
And I'll put the hood up on my cloak and say, so long as they don't notice me, for I might have left the good Knight Commander with a parting gift last time we spoke.
I have a feeling they might notice if we wander in with all our hoods up. It's a bit of a giveaway.
It's
a
winter.
Hood, and a hood doesn't do me any good whatsoever.
That's a fair point.
It's fun. I mean, look at that face. Why would you hide that?
Does anyone have any rope?
Yes.
Reef.
Why?
Maybe if everyone had their hoods up and you bring me in like a prisoner, we could use it as a disguise.
So obvious we're subtle. Kind of an inverse psychology kind of thing.
It's just a night of throwing it out there. Do we even need to go into the town?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this going into the town business.
I
What
don't
is
know.
it they've got?
Let me.
Maybe we should just sneak into the town like a covert operation.
I'll kneel in front of Shadow and ask it. Shadow, what is it? What's in town? Is it Lily? Is it Lily? Have you found Lily?
Shadow looks up to you and licks your face once. And when it pulls back away, kind of out of your grip, it tries to keep eye contact with you for a while. And then the hound turns and begins to run towards the gate.
I think it's my daughter. I have to go in there. You don't have to follow me if you think it's too risky. But I have to take a chance.
The hunt?
Well, I'm hunting for two things. And I think my most important quarry is my daughter. I'd do anything for her.
Then give me the rope.
I'll fetch in my bag the rope in my explorer's pack.
And then with a surprising manual dexterity, he'll, from tying sailor's knots, he'll fashion a knot out of his wrists. Who's gonna take the lead? Nope. Next.
I'll do it.
Alright, we should probably think of a backstory if anyone asks us any questions, because I have no idea how we could possibly have gotten here.
Well, how about you escaped Lord Sauce and I caught you wandering around the wilds? How does that sound? Sounds a lot like the truth, doesn't it?
Yes. It
Never
does.
say anything that you don't want on your tombstone, you know.
It's a great point. Lead the way.
All right then.
So Agatha is pulling Rookone, who's tied by rope, towards the town. And Nova and Vishard, are you following with? How are you? What's your relation to the two of them?
Maybe we should be nearby, but separated a little bit so we're not a huge group of people. I mean, I'm about kid height, so we could just look, like we're just...
Why don't you hold our hand, Bashard?
Yeah, I'll hold out my hand for Nova to take.
Let's do this one. It's more convincing.
Yeah.
For this disguise, I'll let you choose. You can either roll me stealth or roll me deception to try to, basically keep it low key. But I'm going to need one from each of the two of you.
I could roll stealth, but not deception. I don't know.
I can roll stealth, but not deception. I have.
Okay. So this isn't that you're trying to remain hidden, more that you're just trying to kind of blend.
Play low.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure your stealth is higher than mine, though.
Maybe. I would like to use one of my advantages here.
Okay, and I do need a roll from each of you, both of you.
Oh, each of us. Okay.
So, an 8.
Oh no.
A 17.
All right. Well,
Disadvantage.
We'll get to that in a minute. So Agatha, you lead Rookone into the town, and there's a crowd here moving along the main side of the street towards what looks like maybe the center of town. It's not that large of a town. The buildings are multi-storied, most of them 2, some of them 3 stories. They look very utilitarian. As he said, this is a military town, so each building's almost like a small barracks. Even though you're seeing children and women in the town and non-military figures, a lot of the people you're seeing, even if they're not in knight's armor or armed with weapons, have this sort of build and posture of lifelong soldiers, especially the men and some of the women who are a little bit older, maybe like in their 30s and 40s. It's almost an entirely human town, unlike Malmene, which was much more racially diverse, where you had draconians as guards and whatnot. Everybody seems to be moving towards the center of the city, and you're going along. Nobody's questioning you at first, though you get a few odd looks, especially from one young green behind the ears knight of the crown who's kind of looking at you carrying Rokon, but nobody descends on you immediately. Nova?
I've definitely got that sling. I remembered I had a sling, and I put it all over the metal arm to help this.
Okay. All right. So your metal arm is covered plenty, but how does Nova fail at being stealthy and fail at blending in?
Bless her heart. She's not a demure individual. She doesn't have like an indoor volume, or a walk with your head down kind of thing. So she's probably just like looking around and just not being subtle. You're like, oh, what's that over there? Papa, what's that?
You are seeing like little mini fireworks are going off behind buildings and in yards, and
Can we go check that out, Papa? That looks real exciting.
No, we're not. We just keep walking.
Nova, you turn to look over your shoulder, and there through the crowd, in the center, near the center of the city, you see standing a number of knights in full armor, fully decked out. Most of all, you see Clale von Regier, the Knight of the Rose, the Knight Commander who mostly rules this town, or at least keeps peace here. And you're not sure if he sees you, but you think he might have looked right at you. Go ahead and roll me. I'm going to make you roll me deception this time.
Oh no, I'm going to use my another advantage.
Okay.
+0. 19! Oh!
That is much better. So how does she play this off, as you're pretty sure he's looking right at you?
Well, we got to know each other pretty well while he was trying to torture me for a week. And so she's just gonna kind of use that, like, you know, she knows how he looks at things, how hoity-toity he is, and she's just gonna kind of play off of that with her attitude, kind of like make him uninterested. She knows what bugs him and what he's kind of just like, whatever. She pushed all of his buttons. So she's gonna kind of just go for the dismissive ones, like, oh.
Yeah, he stares at you for a second, and
kind of just more like a misbehaving child, not like
okay.
an actual threat or menace.
He stares at you for a second as you kind of like are pulling away from Vishard and flailing around. And then you see him go, he rolls his eyes and he turns away from you. Mm-hmm. Padding up behind the two of you is Shadow, who's kind of keeping to the streets, to the side of the street. He's moving in between buildings. He's not, he's not unseen. He gets petted a lot, especially by children, but he's never far behind you. Rokon and Agatha, are you doing anything? Are you moving towards the center of town, or what are your plans now that you're in town and kind of moving with the throng of people?
Agatha is kind of leading Rook through, but following like any kind of body language gestures he makes of, I want to go this way, but just trying to make it look like a tug. And she's talking to him. I don't know how I feel about this gambit, Rook. Reminds me of the slavers and the worst of them.
Like it either, but in the end, if we can help Vishard find Lily, I feel like it'll be worth it. if only to shed a little bit of brightness.
I suppose so. It's a hard game to play. A little too real.
Yeah, it's the little things.
Come on! And she like tugs.
Oh, okay, a little too hard, but that's fine.
You continue on together, keeping the guys up as well as you can. I need Agatha to roll me a persuasion check or a deception check. I'll let you do either one.
Squint at my teeny tiny thing. They're both the same. So I'll go deception. 17.
17's good. Yeah, it is a hard tug, but just a moment before you pulled at him, you saw a knight step out from a doorway, and you can see several other knights inside the building that you're passing. And he kind of looks hard at you, and he reaches for the hilt of his sword, and then you pull Rookone. And that moment, that tension passes after he kind of turns away from you and looks further down the street, and you pass on by him.
You're a wicked kind of beast, you know that.
I do.
Never seen a man fight a mountain before.
That'll be a story.
Never known him win.
I bet it looked cool too.
Well, if we find anyone that saw it, we'll ask them.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch the VOD to actually see what happened, because I still don't know. Hopefully it looked cool. All of you press on. Your guys works, your plan works, at least you think it does. Nobody stops you. And you arrive to the town square. It's a lush garden there of thorny red roses surrounded by a crumbling black statue in the likeness of Lord Soth himself. And there before the statue, surrounded by more of those multicolored lights, is a makeshift stage made of some sort of cheap metal. It's lifted up off the ground some 6 feet, and on the stage you can see 5 musicians dressed in colorful pastel clothings. They're tuning their instruments. One of the musicians notices you, Agatha, being at the forefront of the group, and looks down at you and flashes you a smile. He's a very handsome looking man despite his over-the-top clothing. But when he smiles, open-mouthed, you can see that he doesn't have a tongue.
Keep going. Keep going.
She gives him a nod. And like the weakest smile she can summon to her face, having not expected a lack of tongue. What was the rest of your plan, Rook? And she like tugs him to try and go like around the stage.
I had all my chips on the fact that Vashard or Vashard's dog would be able to find where his daughter's being kept.
Well, I guess we just keep proceeding through town then.
Vashard, roll me a perception check.
Sure. I am blind. I think the avalanche took my eyes. It's in that one.
You're looking all around for any hint of Lily or anything that looks familiar. Also trying to avoid, because you know many people in this town, you're trying to not be seen, because you and Nova are both wanted criminals here in Dargard. And it's then you kind of lose track of them for a minute, that you look back and you can't find Shadow.
Oh no. Shadow. Shadow. Oh no, I called my cat for real.
Oh no. Here, puppy, puppy, puppy.
No, you can roll me a perception check if you want to help him look.
Yeah, I do. I like the doggo. She was a big furry friend. Perception. How about a 3?
The crowd is really converging here, and it's kind of anxiety building up in you as you're looking, but you can't see past people. And Nova, you're short, and everybody else is taller than you except for the kids, you can't see anywhere where the dog has gone. And then you hear closer to the stage a howl sound out, and there seems to be a bit of a commotion there.
Yeah.
Do I still have like a line of communication open with Shadow?
How long does your spell last?
I'll tell you in a moment. 10 minutes.
No, I think more than 10 minutes has passed since you were in the cottage. But you hear the howl too.
All right. So what's happening in the square?
You can't see. There seems to be like a throng of people and some sort of commotion. You can see on the other side of the square, more towards where you came from, several knights are like pushing through the crowd. There's a young man who's knocked to the ground. So one of them comes through, moving towards the sound. They have a look of confusion on their faces, like they're not sure what's going on.
There's a commotion. We should use that to our advantage and go somewhere else.
Or I could just let you go. I don't think anyone gives a shit what you are or why we're here.
That's fair, but I mean, I tied this knot already, so.
Alright, we won't waste a good knot. You sure you want to go away and not check it out? See what's going on. There's something weird going on in this town.
Without a solid direction on Shard Starter, we're lost.
Well, if I know anything about Nova, you follow the trouble, that's where she is. I only met her the other day. But, seems true.
Okay, well, I think I'm clearly the tallest of the bunch, so I'm going to see what I can perceive with my perception.
Okay, roll me a perception check.
I would also like to be kind of looking around.
Yeah.
Critical.
Oh, you just had to be tall enough.
Yeah. You are the most perceptive barbarian.
I'm super not perceptive in a crowd. I'm a little dwarf. What was I thinking?
Can't see anything.
Rookone, you can see over the crowd because you are taller than any man. You're even taller than almost any minotaur. And you, when the second howl goes out, you kind of move forward enough, you can see down. And for a second, you see a little girl, a young girl, arms around the neck of the wolf. And the wolf reaches its head back and howls.
And this is on the stage?
This is like in front of the stage on one side of it, yeah.
And how far away is that, feet-wise?
From you, 30 feet. Difficult terrain because there's a crowd of people you have to kind of get through.
As in the courtyard is surrounded by like a fence, right?
The center of town is actually, it's got like imagine 4 main streets that cut through into this big square that's basically a large garden. Gotcha. And then side paths that break off to the main streets.
I try to get into a vantage point for the wolf and then cast communicate with animals again, speak with animals.
Okay. Meanwhile, what's Nova and Vashard, when you hear the howl, what's your plan of action here?
Is that like a found something howl? An ouch, I'm hurt howl? Is that like I'm a hungry howl? I've just fed him though, so he shouldn't be hungry.
No, it sounds like I found something owl.
Okay.
If I can pinpoint the direction of the owl, I'll head in that direction.
Okay. Nova, are you trying to keep up with Vashard?
Yeah.
Okay. Both of you
that
can,
image.
yeah, the
I'm
image.
like,
So you like flailing as you go. Yes, I love that. Yeah, I'll let you make
But I
me an
wanna see
athletics
the
check, Vishar, to see
fireworks.
how easily you push through. You're knocking people out of the way. Now you see that knights are moving towards the sound as well, including Clell von Regier in the opposite direction. Rokon, you cast your spell. What are you trying to get from this wolf?
Anything. Information on his daughter, information on Vashard, information on the surroundings of whether the wolf feels safe, whether the wolf feels threatened, whether the wolf feels protected.
You get the sense that it's trying to help.
The girl with the arms around the wolf.
The wolf is trying to help.
Gotcha.
You get the sense that there's some sort of love between the wolf and the girl.
And can I see Vashard?
I would say so, because he's actually beelining it and knocking people over trying to get to the wolf.
Okay. I'm going to casually move closer. I'm not going to beeline. Sift through the crowd with my hands down and my head down.
All right. So, Vishard, you reach through the crowd first. Agatha, are you trying to move and follow Rokon, or are you staying back?
I think she'll follow, and she'll try and like cut ahead, but her legs are obviously smaller. So there's a bit of a skip and a hop. Make up your mind if we're sticking with it or not.
We're sticking with it for now. There's the wolf, the shadow is being hugged by a girl, and the wolf loves the girl. I think it's Lily.
Right. Go. Agatha would like to look around, and she wants to look for guards because she has a feeling like a commotion. This town very heavily patrolled.
Yeah, roll a perception check.
Natural 20. 22.
There are a number of armed people here nearby already. 4 knights dressed in armor that has a crown emblem on the armor. None of them have drawn weapons, but they all look ready, and they're all kind of moving closer to the sound. Moving quickest is a young, very pretty man with long, flowing red hair, and he's not wearing armor. He's wearing a padded doublet of pure white that's accented with red in the emblem of a rose. Now, he's the picture of a courtly knight that would not be armored. This is what he looks like in his downtime. And his movements are fast and graceful. Now, he's not armored, but he is armed. He has a long sword that hangs from a sheath at his hip, and his hand's on the sword, and he's also pushing people away and moving almost as fast as Vishard.
Go easy, friend. This will turn into a fight very quickly. And there's a lot more of them than there are of us. Even if you do count for 10.
Well, if they start looking at us aggressively, make a show of it, I can take some damage.
I'm more worried about her.
We'll have to get her out of here fast.
Grab her.
How close are we?
First.
You're not close enough yet. Vishard, you'll get there first with a 25 athletics.
Okay.
You've been knocking people away, and you get this growing sense of dread in your gut, even as the sunlight up above you is dropping and dropping. Less afternoon now and more pinks and reds. It looks like it could turn to twilight, but you know better. You know that there will be no twilight tonight. It is winter solstice. And you see her hugging, arms wrapped around the neck of Shadow. She's wearing what looks like small servant's clothes. She is your daughter. She is Lily.
Lily. And I'll rush up to her and just embrace her and lift her up. And just hold her in my arms.
At first, as you grab her and pull her up in your arms, you feel her kind of pull back, maybe not expecting to see you. And then her eyes meet your eyes. And she smiles up at you with a bright, bright smile. Her hair is wrapped around and tied up in a way that reminds you of the time that she was on a rocking horse and playing at being a knight. But she's dressed in different clothes now. You don't know these clothes. And she hesitates for a second, and then she throws her arms around your neck, just in the same way that she embraced Shadow a moment before.
Hey, Princess. Daddy's back.
Papa. But how?
I made friends. They helped me find you. We'll be safe now. This is Nova.
Hey, we should go.
What? Oh, yeah, we're gonna.
Which direction is Knight Commander Clail coming from?
He is standing right in front of you, and his sword is drawn, not raised towards you. He's got his head tilted up, and he's looking between Nova and Vishard, and he says firmly, but in that sort of tilted, obnoxious air that he has, Vishard, I cannot believe you came back here. What a feat to escape our Lord. You must be lucky. And yet you are stupid enough to return here thinking, you put the girl down, you monster.
Oh, look who's speaking, monster. Did you tell everyone what you did to Miriam? What you did to our home, our family? And I'll raise my voice.
Are you trying to like rile the crowd?
To rile the crowd up, yeah.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Yeah, our homes, our families.
I should have known you'd work with her.
I'm gonna use
She's
one of my
absolute worst.
Oh no.
The crowd seems to be backing away from you now, and you can see parting through them those four armed knights, along with Rookone and Agatha. And Cleo von Regier takes a single step towards you, and he holds out his open left hand. He says again, put the girl down, Bashard.
Do I see Rookone anywhere nearby?
Yeah, Agatha and Rookone are approaching. Agatha's pulling Rookone along, or at least was. They just have parted through the retreating crowds.
Okay, I'll put Lily down, and I'll whisper in her ear, Lily, you see the big man with the horns over there? That's my friend. Go to him, he'll keep you safe.
Back away from the girl. Do what he says.
And I'll give her a push in Rookone's direction.
Roll me another persuasion check.
Please be good. Can I use my last inspiration on that?
You can, and you have 3 left after this, actually. I'm keeping track for you.
Oh, thank you. I thought I didn't have any anymore. 20!
Oh, that does beat a 19. As you let her go and push her towards Rookone, Clail calls out to her too, and he says, Lily, please, come here. For your safety. These people are dangerous criminals. She lingers for a second and looks between you and Clail. She takes half a step towards the knight and then turns and scampers towards Rookone.
There. So you want to finish what we started?
Everyone, please. This will be over shortly, and we can all go about our winter solstice celebrations. There's no need to let these criminals ruin our great holiday. After all, I picked the decorations this year.
And Nova's just doing that miming thing that drives him insane the whole time.
Clail lifts up his fingers and he claps twice. And the band, who's staring kind of incredulously down at all of you as though they're above all of this, and technically they are, they're very slow to start playing. But after he claps, they do begin playing a song. And their music dances many different instruments. There's no vocalization beyond what is sort of like a chant. And as they open their mouths to sing, you can see, if anyone looks, that none of them have tongues.
Oh.
Clail levels his sword towards you. The 4 guards come up behind you. And he says, Vishard, I'm giving you one last chance to do the right thing. Turn yourself in, return to the dungeons, and face your punishment. You don't want anyone else to get hurt, do you? All of these innocent people here?
Miriam was innocent, and you burnt her. You burnt her alive. What's the punishment for that?
There is no punishment for meting out justice as justice is needed. That's my job.
That wasn't justice. That was barbaric. And I'll draw my sword.
What's Nova, Agatha, and Rokon doing? The girl at this point has come up to Rokon, and she stands and she kind of looks up to you, Rokon. Her face drops. Like she has never seen anything like you. And you think that she might run away, and then she wraps herself around your leg.
Rukon kind of, while keeping that leg straight, kind of shifts on his other leg to try to meet at her gaze. And he cracks like this oddly large smile. Hello, you must be Lily.
Who are you?
Lily, I am Rukon. Do you like stories, Lily?
What?
Do you like stories? Adventurous stories of heroes?
What's Agatha doing in the meantime? Because I think he's still like tied to the rope, right?
Rook, could you tell her the story as you get the hell out of here?
This story involves a fast escape. Now,
I like this one. I've heard this one.
I need you to be as quiet as possible.
Okay. And even at this point, you can see that those knights are through the crowd and they're kind of closing in. 2 of them are approaching you, and you could break for it if you want, but now is the time to decide.
Rukon picks the girl up from his leg, carries her in his arms. Now it is time to flee. And backs up, and then gives a look at Agatha, and then sprints out of the town.
Agatha, are you going with Rokon?
Yep. She's gonna Misty Step. Like, once he's got, like, the 50 feet, or whatever, 30 feet, sorry, she'll just move out of the crowd to the spot after him and then start running.
And what's Nova's plan here?
Well, you said the crowd dispersed, right, Don?
They've fallen back. It's like when there's a fight, except for. Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's say that they've fallen back 40 feet.
Oh, that's beautiful, Don. Okay. For sure. When she got captured the first time, she really didn't put up much of a fight because she wanted to be captured. But this time, she pulling out the big guns. Specifically, she's ready to pull out Mr. Pew Pew.
Okay.
I think she just plunks him down right there. It's just like, all right. So, and she plunks him down, and she's got her wand of fireballs ready.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone, go ahead and roll me initiative.
Okay.
Ooh, 13.
And what did Rokon get there?
Uno momento.
Yeah, roll to see how many charges.
19.
19. All right. So, Agatha, you're able to Misty Step first. Rokon starts running, but you're able to go. Are you going to go past him? Or are you going to try to Misty Step beyond? Because you have 2 guards running towards you and Rokon, 2 knights running towards Vishard and Nova, along with Clail, who's right in front of the 2 of them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's gonna miss a step past where Rokon will be shortly, knowing her legs are shorter.
Okay. All right. And you Misty Step beyond. Do you do anything else on your turn? Just run?
Just run.
Okay. It is Clail von Regier's turn. And when you refuse to put down your sword, when you draw your own blade, he's given you all chances in the code of his honor to surrender yourself peacefully. He steps towards you with a quick step, turning to the side, so he's advancing on you from the side, and he begins to twirl his long sword and cut quickly with it. He's not trying to strike a killing blow. It's almost as though he's trying to hurt you and push you back, and also just sort of break up your position so that you and Nova are separated. He's going to attack Vishard twice or 3 times with his long sword. Yeah, we'll do twice on Vishard, and then he'll spin around and swing once at Nova.
I have pissed him off a lot.
You have. You really
Specifically, with the purpose of doing so.
have. So that's going to be a 10 and a 9 versus Vishard, and a natural 20 versus Nova.
Yep.
So
I deserve that. Honestly, she deserves
you really do. I'm sure you'll deserve more before the end too. So you advance, swing. Vishard, you're able to step back just to avoid the cut of his blade, and then he spins around and cuts across his body straight towards Nova, and he's cutting downward, low, actually across your body. What kind of armor is she wearing?
Studded leather.
You can feel it cut through the studded leather. You might need new armor soon. It does 22 slashing damage is the crit.
Okay.
Is he within 5 feet of me when this
He is
happens?
now, yeah.
Because with Sentinel, I'll just spin around and slash
Attack on him.
high to low, free attack, slash him across the back.
Yeah, you're using your reaction.
Using my reaction, because who fights fair? 18, does that hit?
That is a hit.
And he'll take 8 points of slashing damage.
Fantastic. All right, that is the end of Clail's turn, and he's now split you up, and he's just struck and then counter struck, and it's Rookon's turn. You have the girl there. She's wrapped around your leg. You want to try to pick her up and run?
That was my intent at the pre-initiative.
Okay, so you're gonna have to run past these 2 guards. What's your plan to get past them?
Past them, through them. So pick Lily up in my arms and kind of keep her to my chest, and then start lumbering directly towards the guards, while making noises and doing my best to inspire fear and intimidate them.
All right, so go ahead and roll me. If you're trying to scare them off, roll me intimidate. If you're trying to actually plow them down, then give me your goring rush attack.
Gotcha. How close are they to another? Are they side by side?
Yeah, they're 5 feet away from each other.
Okay. So first I'll use bonus action to enrage, knowing that I'll have to plow through these guys, and then I will goring rush. if they're standing side by side and there's like more open to one side, the one that'll give me a better vantage point to bounce off of for an escape.
Go for it. All right, and then roll me another athletics check as well.
This is advantage, 31.
All right, and then roll me. We'll say if you're spending your bonus action, I'll let you try to affect the other one that's next to him too. Roll me another athletics check.
This is natural advantage, 30.
All right, let's see. Does that actually do it? Yes, you actually managed to knock the first one down, but as you're trying to force your way through the second one, he stays on his feet. The other one you've plowed to the ground. Go ahead and roll your damage there.
Gotcha.
19.
That's... Sorry, 2 more with the rage bonus.
Okay.
So 21.
So you crash into him with your horns. You knock him to the ground. You trample over top of him. You try to push the other one away, but he actually manages to push back and stay on his feet. And if you're going to try to run past him, he's going to get an opportunity attack against you.
Okay. Yeah, fucking bring it.
All right. And he goes to swing at you, and the other man who's on the ground is trying to get back up. He actually trips over the other knight and goes tumbling forward and falls over top of him, and you are able to run past.
Okay. And then using the rest of my movement, I'll actually, an extra action is 3 inspiration.
An extra action is 3, yeah.
Can I spend 3 for a dash?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're trying to get a total of, what's your movement speed?
40.
And Agatha's teleported. She's misty stepped 60 feet beyond the guards. You run with your extra action. You're able to get to Agatha and 20 feet beyond her. You're just hoofing it. People at this point, the crowd are trying to part out of your way. Are you trying to avoid injuring anybody in the crowd?
If they get out of my way, yes. If they challenge me, then no.
Okay. Roll me a sleight of hand check.
Cool. Is that athletics? 16.
So you almost trample an old man who's standing in the crowd. Everybody else is trying to get out of the way. They try to pull him, but he gets stuck for a second and kind of falls down. You are able to move around him just barely and still keep your pace and move forward. And, so I calculated Agatha's walking speed wrong. She's only 55 feet. So you're 80 feet. Agatha's 55 feet away from where you started. And you managed to, both of you are now through the main throng of this crowd. Now, they're all people all around. They're all looking at you. But at the moment, you with this little girl being a huge minotaur, and Agatha, who just appeared and disappeared and reappeared via magic, they are kind of, the common people are giving you a wide berth for the moment.
Cool.
Is that your turn?
Yeah.
All right. Vishard and then Nova.
All right. It is still twilight outside.
Still sunset, yeah.
And I'll turn to Nova and I'll tell her, you don't have to fight here. I'll take him down.
We should go. Nope. Fuck this guy. He's an embarrassment to himself. We should just leave and let him live the rest. His surviving existence with that face. That's punishment enough.
They draw pictures of me, and I can hear you.
Yeah, why do you think they draw pictures of you? They need a good laugh every now and then.
You're right.
Not true. I don't know why I even talk to you. And he draws it. He steps closer to you with his sword.
I'll attack him twice, and then retreat 30 feet back.
Okay. Go ahead and make that attack.
So
The first
11
one's a
on the
miss.
first. 17 on the second.
The second one is a hit.
Oof.
Now the 4.
Yeah, for 4.
And the first attack, as it comes in with a blade, he circles around his sword and he sweeps your blade around and hooks it low, and then he reverses his grip. He suppinates his grip and counter thrusts using his reaction.
Oh.
Does a 15 hit?
15 misses.
All right. So he counter thrusts and it goes off to the side of your shoulder, and you guys for a moment are locked up. You are able to cut him once with your blade, and then your idea here is to run,
Yeah, we're backing away.
moving back towards the crowd, 30 feet. So you're able to get just to the edge of the crowd that's kind of been circling around you, and they're pulling back further away too. But you're still gonna have to fight your way through them on your next turn.
Okay.
You have a bonus action. You doing anything with the bonus action?
I think I'll go with what Chad is saying because I forgot, but I'll Hunter's Mark.
I always forget Hunter's Mark.
Yep.
I understand. All right. So you're using your Hunter's Mark on him?
On him, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nova, it's your turn.
Okay, so there's this big circle of people, like, at a distance around us. How many guards are in this circle with us? With me? 'Cause,
There's
okay.
3. So there's 2 of them are on the ground.
Okay.
2 of them are up and coming towards you.
Uh-huh.
Plus Clail. You
Uh-huh.
can't see if others are coming to kind of reinforce. At the moment, it's just the 5.
Just the 5. Are any of them real close together, like in a 15-foot cone, perhaps?
We'll say you could, if you circled around Clail and were willing to take an opportunity attack, I'll let you do him and 2 guards.
I have a better plan. There's a nice 40-foot diameter, and like
Yeah.
this in here. I'm just gonna cast a fireball right here.
Like on yourself.
Yeah.
So
But first,
that
I will cast Expeditious Retreat.
okay.
Bonus action. I just give him a little look, and then I lift up my wand of fireballs.
No,
and
don't even think about it. Don't do that. This is the statue's.
And I'm going to use one of my inspirations for advantage on the dex save.
Okay. That's wise.
It is.
Let's
19.
see
I
here.
pass.
Oh, that's good. All right, so let's see. Clail gets a 17,
Mm-hmm.
and
15 is
then 15. So 2 of the knights save. We'll say the 2 on the ground. That makes the most sense to me.
Mhm.
Clail saves, and 2 of the knights fail.
okay. Well, I saved.
Is this a regular?
This is just a 3rd level. So it's just
Okay.
a regular fireball. Just enough to get the crowd moving away even better, so we can hopefully because
It
this
works. It's
is just
I
on
think-
their fringes. They're gonna feel that heat burst, and it's gonna make them.
all right,
So
roll me that 8d6.
rolled really good.
That's
32.
really good.
Half would be 16.
All right.
So
16. Jeez.
she's just like, and you hear just mad cackling.
16.
Then she books it.
So as the explosion occurs, like centered on yourself, and this roaring flame expands outwards almost to the crowd. The crowd screams. Screams are everywhere. They're fleeing now. If they were interested in what's going on before, they're not interested now. The music stops pretty suddenly, and all that you hear around you is the screaming of the crowd, the burning of wooden contraptions all around, and you see Nova as you're
Construction. If I had built it, it would fall apart.
as you're darting through the smoke and ashes. You're running past the bodies of knights on fire. You can see one of them on his knees. He's clawing at his face, which is melting away. He can't put himself out. Another one is like literally running towards a little pond, and he dives into the pond. You don't see him come back up. Another one is just laying on the ground, his hand stuck up in the air, just kind of frozen there. You see his face twisted in the last expression of what you've done to him. One of the guards had the foresight to jump back and kind of cover himself, and he's slowly rising back up to his feet. Clail himself actually, like right as he realized that you weren't going to listen to him, he turned and he jumped over the stage and tumbled over the stage to the other side, and he used the metal to kind of protect himself. And you can see like he rises up and he's got like half of his face is black with soot, and he's like putting out a little fire that's on his doublet, and he looks furious. But Clail looking furious is just really obnoxious.
It's just real funny. That's my favorite expression, and he looks it's beautiful. And of course her hair, like one of her pigtails is already shorter than the other because it's been set on fire before, probably in a stunt very similar to this. And it's just continuing. It's just like little singes, and she's kind of, trying to pinch it out a little bit as she's running. Yeah.
And how much distance is she able to cover? Is it 50 feet total with Expeditious Retreat?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So.
So you rush off into the crowd.
Next time it'll be 75 because I'll be able to
really book it. Yeah. Everyone else is just kind of horrified at what you've done. The rest of the people here, what's her expression? Like, what's she doing?
Glee. Just there's a spark in her eyes, a sparkle even, and just her clothes are singed. Her leather armor, while slashed, is okay. She doesn't wear a lot of fabric anyways, probably for this reason, but what is there is just kind of like smoldering, and there's just part of her hair is on fire. She's got like a cowlick, and it's got like a little flame at the tip, and just utter glee and amusement. She is having a great time right now.
As you rush past the remaining guard, he stands up and stumbles. He's reaching for you, and you dart past him. He turns, his weapon drawn, and he advances with sword and shield onto Vishard himself, being the only person that's still within his range. And Vishard, he's going to swing once with a sword and once with a shield. It's going to be a 20 and a 14.
20 hits, but 14 misses.
So it'd be 12 slashing damage as he slashes downward at you and gets you as you're moving back through the back. How's Vishard reacting as this fireball comes out and the crowd's parting?
I think Vishard uses his cloak to try to cover as much of his body as he possibly can and look away from the explosion. I did not expect a fireball to happen.
Especially centered on me.
Yeah, even less.
It's a ballsy move.
Is everybody's intent to continue to run back out of the town?
I have one thing I want to do before you keep running.
Perfect. It is your turn, actually.
Okay.
So
as she hears this fireball erupt from Nova, she turns back and she sees Nova and Bashad and everyone like booking it out. She's gonna throw a huge fog cloud centered on the statue of Soth because she has a 120-foot range, and I'm gonna do this level 2, so it's a 40-foot fog cloud that just descends and creates almost like a smoking effect as she summons the mists from the valleys of home, and it just rises up and just fogs out the area so that we have a hopefully clear run for all those poor confused guards. And she's hoping in a way that the fog might slow a few people down because they can't see where they're going, so it's less like running panic. Still panic, Absolutely. But less running panic.
Roll me, it definitely doesn't make the crowds panic less, but it does provide cover. Roll me an Arcana check.
Okay. Arcana.
And what spell are you casting here?
This is Fog Cloud at level 2. I can
Perfect.
hit that button if you like.
Yeah.
Boop.
And then she's running again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Perfect. The cloud goes out behind you. It takes a couple of seconds to form. You can still see through it. You can see Clayle step back around the side of the stage. The musicians are nowhere to be seen. They've left the stage. It's actually, besides the cries of individuals who are scared and the trampling of feet, there's not much else to hear. But Clayle advances on Vishard, who's the only person, again, in his range, and his face is twisted with indignation. He is going to swing 3 times Vishard for 17, 18, and 16.
Only the 18 hits.
And you will only take 13 slashing damage from him.
Ow, this hurts.
How's Vishard looking?
Because of plot armor, somewhat good. But he's rethinking his wanting to stay and fight till the bitter end. I think his vendetta against Von Regier will have to wait another day if he wishes to see Lily.
Rokon, it's your turn.
He still with Lily in tow, has eyes on the exit and is charging with if anyone gets in my way, run him over, but as a dash action, like making intimidating grunting noises as a signal, please do not get near me.
Raging Bull coming through.
Roll me intimidation.
Okay. All right. Let me find. That's an I. It starts with an I, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Crit. Super scary.
If the explosion and the crumbling buildings and the strange magical fog and the screaming people and the burning guards weren't enough, you explode out of the back of this crowd and down the main street towards the direction of the gate that you entered in. And anybody who is lingering, maybe they were late to the party, probably lucky on their part, they duck back into buildings. Like people are giving you a wide berth. You can hear the slamming of doors as you're running past. The streets are emptying for you, Rokon. Lily is over your shoulder and she's stretching back behind you, back in the direction of the fireball. You can feel her neck craning as though if she stretched it enough, she could see further. You can feel her feet kicking against your chest. She's gasping for air. She's not saying anything, but you can feel the panic pressing up against you.
All right. And yeah, so I'll move 80, use a dash action, move 80 feet, and then get the furthest away that I can. Making way for the exit for everybody else.
Vishard, you're standing there now at the edge of the crowd. Crowd's pulling away. You're hurt. Clayle has again pressed against you. Now you have 2 knights on you, Clayle and the other knight. What does Vishard do?
I am going to... Oh, boy. I'm up against Clayle and 2 other knights, you said?
1 knight.
1 other knight. Okay, so it's 2 against 1. I'll take my chance, and I will not disengage, and I'll run away as fast as I can.
All right. So that'll be a 17 and a 14.
They both miss.
Roll me a charisma saving throw.
Oh, crap. 12.
The last of day's light spills away, and there is no twilight on the winter solstice. Instead, fading as the sun fades, you see appear the 3 moons of Kryn, Solinari, the bright moon, moon of goodness, Lunatari, the red moon, the moon of neutrality and neutral magic, and Nutari, the black moon, smallest, but larger tonight than any other night of the year. Vishard, your body drops to the ground, unconscious. You feel just before slipping, your face hit the pavement, and you can hear the sound of your jaw breaking, and you are unconscious. You remember again that rocking horse, how long you worked on it, giving it to your daughter. You remember her painted clothes. She painted them herself, trying to make herself look like a knight, feel like a knight, the way she tied up her hair, the way she would get on the back of the horse, rock back and forth, and she would repeat her version of the Solamnic vows. Whether or not they were the right vows or not, she believed that they were the right vows. She held that twig like it was a lance. And in her mind, in your home, she slayed dragons, and you remember that. She's getting smaller now. She's not riding away from you. She's running away from you. She's on the back of the Minotaur. You don't see the streets. You don't see anything. They're just two figures disappearing like pinpoints into the darkness. And when your eyes meet her, she looks terrified. You can hear her screaming through the dark.
But at least she's safe.
Nova.
Yep.
You're running through the crowd, last of all, faster now and faster and faster. You hear the sound of Vishard as his body hits the ground.
I look over my shoulder.
You look back and you see Vishard there. You see his eyes pop open. He awakens not with a groan, but with a scream. His head rises, and now it shows a distended snout. It seems to be stretching like dough away from his face. His eyes roll into the back of his head, and they turn a sickly yellow color that reflects the bright moonlight that's already shining down from the clear sky above. You hear the crack, snap, crunch of bones break and reform again and again, each of his limbs getting longer, his spine hunching like a lumbering beast's as he stands. You see his clothes and armor rip away from his body, exposing flesh covered in thousands of droplets of his own blood. That skin is quickly turning gray and pallid, and you see hair beginning to rip upwards from those wounds. He's screaming.
And what's Clail doing?
If you look beyond Vishard to Clail and the other knight, Clail is stepping forward. He looks terrified. You can see his eyes are wide, but he has his sword up, and he's advancing not in a timid way, but in a resigned way. There's almost a sort of duty to his steps forward, but the other knight is turning and running.
I have my turret shoot Clail in the back of the head because he doesn't see it coming, and it's behind him, and he turns back to it.
I'll give you advantage on this.
Thank you. I'm going to see if it made its saving throw to get more HP. It did not, but it still has 8, so it can still make an attack. All right. 17.
That's a hit.
Oh, sweet. Let's just see if it crits, because advantage. It does not, so hit
Okay.
will be... this is force damage. 12.
So Clail is stepping forward, scared but resigned, his sword out, even as Vishard is stretching higher and higher and higher. and the force blast hits him in the back of the head. You see his head snap forward and he falls to his knees. The sword falls out of his hand and it rings as it clangs against the stone pavement and rolls several feet to Vishard. What's Nova doing next?
She doesn't want to leave him, but they kind of gotta get out. I think she's gonna move further away, but still keep an eye on the situation, because pretty much everyone's cleared out by now.
Roll me a perception check.
Yes, please. Oh yeah, there might be more cards coming. Hit 8.
You kind of step back and the crowd's gone at this point. They've dispersed in every direction. Now the fog is picking up and you can barely see the shapes. Even as you step back, you're not stepping far back before the fog cloud basically makes everything beyond shadows hard to discern. But through those shadows, you can still see the lumbering form of Vishard. Vishard, you failed your charisma saving throw. You hear the ring, ring, ring of the sword as it falls to your feet, and you turn and you see Clail von Regier there on his knees, trying to stand up. He looks up to you, and though there's fear in his eyes, you can smell it on him. His chin is tilted upwards, and there's a dignity there. Obnoxious, but there.
And I will wipe it off his face by biting hard on his throat. And just chomping slowly and savoring each drop of blood as it reaches my tongue. As I just drink deep of him. Yep.
Make me, not that I think that you'll fail, because I'm going to give you advantage since he's prone, but do make me an attack here, because he's not given up just yet.
So it's a proficient melee weapon attack. So I'll use the same as the longsword.
Yeah, that works.
20.
The advantage helps, yeah. And so
good
that hits.
Give me advantage. And damage is 1d8 piercing plus 2d8 necrotic. All right. So he's gonna take 7 piercing damage and 13 necrotic damage.
You tear into his throat. You can feel his warm blood filling your mouth, stinging your nostrils. All you can smell is blood now, and it's not just his. You can smell everyone's. It's enough to drive a man crazy. He struggles against you. He tries to push you away until his hands, sticky and slick with his own blood, begin sliding off of your snout and drop. And you can feel his lifeless meat in your maw.
And I go to town on his body. I'll just feast on him. Every morsel I can take. I think I'll start with the liver and the heart. And then I'll make my way through everything, every other juicy bit I can find.
Nova.
Yeah.
You can't see the details, but you can hear them.
I can guesstimate. I think he's got this handled. I'm gonna go beat up with my new, second best friend, Rugon. I'm sorry, Mr. Pew Pew's first best friend. And gotta earn it, Agatha. I'm Agatha, so.
You dart with your expeditious retreat to join the others. The three of you moving quickly with your speed and your powers, and everyone else being terrified, are running from the town. Is anybody doing anything, or are you just trying to escape at this point?
Agatha would stop, not seeing Vishard with us, as Nova catches up. Her legs aren't that long, so she's not running that much faster than Nova.
A little bit, but.
So she kind of stops, and Nova catches up. Where's Vishard?
He's busy right now. I'll explain when we get outside. I think he's fine.
What do you mean you think he's fine? He's in there on his own.
I'm more concerned about the guards that are still left alive in this town, honestly.
He's lost control.
That's another reason we should leave town. I don't know what semblance of control he's got, but I'm pretty sure he's a werewolf. So we should probably just get his daughter out of here, let him do his thing, and then see how he's feeling in the morning.
There's a lot more innocent people in this town besides his daughter.
Well, yeah, they close their doors. They'll be fine. They know they deal with Soth all the time. I'm sure this isn't that much worse. That much worse. Probably way less worse.
And I'm still running. So because I haven't attacked, the rage has worn off.
Mm-hmm.
So once I'm clear, I take Lily down and try to rub her. It's fine. It's fine. We'll meet up again with him soon.
You
gotta get out.
You can hear Lily kind of sobbing into your fur. If she was stretching before, she's not stretching anymore. There's something resigned in her. She's slumped over. Not heavy. She's young, but all of her weight now is on your shoulder. You can feel her slow breaths pressing up against you as you run. Agatha, you can roll me a perception check.
Mm-hmm. She's definitely on the fence about keep going. She was down for rescuing a girl, but not leaving a slaughter. 16.
You kind of stare back, trying to make, because you have better vision than the others, correct?
Yeah, I have dark vision.
You can see a little bit further in the coming night, and it is bright moonlight, and you can make out certain forms. You can hear things, clues, audio, that you hear the sound of trampling feet, jangling mail, much of it, and you see many forms as the crowd that's left is rushing away from the center of town. You can see many armored forms moving towards the center of town, and in the middle of that fog, you hear a howl. It's deep and mournful, and there's rage there. And then you hear a yelp.
She goes running back into town. Bonus action to get that sword in her hand. She's not intending, the second she sees anything, to act, but she wants to see what's happening. Can't leave a man behind. Can't leave a town with a werewolf. Straight into
Nova and Raccoon, are you continuing to run out of town?
How far of distance am I away from everyone with Lily?
I think at this point you've put a pretty good distance, and Nova's fast, so she's catching up, but your speed is really up there.
So I don't notice Agatha go back, or do I?
You can, yeah. If you look over your shoulder, you notice she's not there.
Shit.
We're not out of hot water yet. She's technically still in town. This is the city limits. So... And if you want to go run back, I'll get her out. We came here to get her out, so I feel like it'd just be a whole wasted effort if we just all got captured in here with her.
You're right. Here, take her to a safe place. And then she kind of sets...
I'm gonna take her back to the,
This is a good idea. I'll meet you there after I get Agatha out.
Hi, Lily. I'm Nova. We're gonna go to a nice, safe, warm place. There's some, it's probably cold again, some lukewarm soup that we're gonna fix up for you. And we're gonna have a great time, okay? Your dad will be with us soon. He's just a little busy.
She looks at you, and there's sort of this blankness in her eyes, and she sniffles a couple of times and just kind of lowers her head and leans her weight into you, and she throws her arms around you.
We're probably close to the same size. If not, she might be taller, depending on how old she is.
How old is she? She's 6, right?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, she'd be around 6.
Okay.
So, we're
Around the same.
about
Pretty
my
close.
height or a little bit taller. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're able to go. Agatha and Rookone, you turn back and move towards the center of town. Now, is the fog cloud still there, or has it dispersed at this point? I think it's probably.
You can just disperse it. Concentration.
Does she disperse it?
Yeah.
So as that fog leaves, you see the creature, tall, long, distended limbs, its skin matted with blood and fur, its own fur, with feral look in its eyes, sharp teeth. It's taller than Rookone. It's taller than any humanoid creature that you've ever seen outside of like an ogre. And it's broad too, and around it are several dead knights. They're actually starting to make a pile, but there is a small army here of knights that have armed themselves and have moved in, about 30 of them, and they have the beast circled. Vishard, as you're standing there circled, this fog is kind of lifted, and you can see all of these knights around you. Roll me another charisma saving throw.
Can Agatha attempt to give advantage on this if I call out to him?
What are you trying to do?
She calls out, Bishard, you're done here. Get out.
I'll give you advantage. Vishard, you've been in the dark. You don't know how long, watching your daughter get smaller and smaller and smaller. You've been chasing her. You finally catch up with her there in the dark, and she's running from you. Rookone's gone now, and she's on her own. She's terrified, and you're hungry. She stumbles and trips, and you're standing over top of her. But you have control of yourself.
Am I still in the...
This is you in your head.
Okay, this is in my head. She's tripped. I think I'll help her up.
She seems afraid of you for a second. She pulls away. Do you grab her?
I'll kneel down and say, Lily, it's okay. Daddy will never hurt you. Don't you worry.
But... Mama...
That was the bad man. They did that to Mama. I should have been home.
Are you the bad man?
I think I'm different. There's a bad man inside of me, but I'm not a bad man. A bad man would never love you the way I do, Lily. If I could, I'd take the bad man inside and I'd make it go away. And I'm gonna try everything I can. I swear to you. Please don't be afraid. I love you so much.
You see tears in her eyes, and she opens her mouth as though she's going to respond. You don't know if she's going to say, I love you too, or if she's going to rebuke you. She fades into that shadow, and you're surrounded by darkness there. And you open your eyes, and you are in the beast's body, surrounded on all sides by knights. Some of them wielding spears, some of them wielding swords. But you have control of yourself, at least for the moment.
If I look around, do I see the exit to the town, the gate from which we came?
There's multiple gates to the town. You came from the south side,
Mhm.
There's a north gate. There's a west gate too.
Is
Oh,
yep.
I was just gonna say, and then there's the east gate, which leads up to the pass that goes to the castle.
Yeah, I don't want to 1v1 Soth just yet. Is the south gate the closest from where I am?
It's pretty equidistant, honestly.
Okay, so I'll head over. Basically, what I want to do is charge and jump over the knights that are between me and the south gate, and just take off in a straight line and run away from town. I know that something's wrong with me if I have control of if I see that I look like the beast of Dargard, I want to just run away. I need to be far away from people.
You would know that Brookone and Lily and Nova and Agatha, Brookone and Agatha are actually, you can see them there. They're kind of watching you from beyond the crowd on the south side, but you know they all ran to the south side. Do you want to run the same direction as them, or do you want to, okay, make me an athletics check to see how well you can get past these guards. There will be a number of opportunity attacks against you.
Yeah, I figure. And I'll use one of my other advantage.
Okay.
Inspiration, sorry. Oh, wow. That's an 8.
So you're not able to get through the guards. They close ranks. They use shields to knock you back. You get through the front line, but not the mid and back lines of them. There will be, we'll call it 6 opportunity attacks. I think only one of them's going to hit. Well, no, they have advantage too, because you are surrounded. So we'll call it a 23, a 9, and a 14 on the first 3.
Let me just check, because my armored class changed, right? Okay, it's a 16. So if you beat a 16, you're good.
Cool. So second round, you're going to take 4 hits altogether. And that is going to be a total of 52 slashing damage.
With regular weapons or with silvered weapons?
With regular weapons.
All right, so I take only half.
26.
Ow, 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 ow.
Agatha and Rookone, you witnessed this. Are you doing anything to intervene?
Now, can we determine whether he's like?
Yeah, how does this situation look to us?
It looks like a giant beast is surrounded by about 30 knights who are very methodically moving in close and stabbing at it. And it's trying to either break free or attack. It's killed a great number of them already. There's like half a dozen dead knights around it.
If they don't put it down, you know that we'll have to.
I think we found the beast.
Maybe there's more than one.
I'd rather not think about that right now. I've never seen something that big. What do we do?
Wait. If the knights win, we run. If the knights lose, we can't risk having that alive.
Alright. And Agatha's gonna hunker down and wait. And she's not looking forward to watching knights die. She's not sure she's looking forward to watching Vashad die either. But she'll wait.
Rookone too?
Mm-hmm.
Vashard, are you again trying to push past them, or are you changing tactics here?
I'm way too deep to change tactic at the moment, so I'll try to push past them. Again.
All right. Athletics check.
All right. How many inspirations do I have left? 2 at this point?
You have 2 left.
All right. I'm going to use another one for athletics. Well, for a 25.
You break through their line, this time pushing side to side. However, you have to go through 3 lines of them. So you are going to take 9 opportunity attacks this time. The first 3. Does a 16 hit?
16 would hit right on. Yeah.
Okay. That's 2 4 hits and a crit, and then that's 6 hits and 2 crits. That is going to be 78 slashing damage plus 44 slashing damage.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's. I am dead on the ground.
They cut into you with their swords again and again, even as you push past them. You stagger forward. You keep running, your weight propelling you forward. You keep moving, and in the distance, you can see down the south side of the street at the gate, Nova running off. With your keen vision, you can see, leaning against her shoulder, Lily.
She's safe.
The Beast of Dargard. What'd you say?
Oh, I said it's all that matters.
Agatha and Rokon, you're standing there as the knights are pushed aside and the beast runs stumbling forward towards you. It falls, it slides, its body goes limp against the ground right in front of you. You can see it there. There's a couple of ragged breaths. Its yellow eyes are looking forward towards the gate. You hear it mutter something under its breath, raggedly, but you can't make out what it says.
He didn't fight back.
He would have been a threat to the innocence of this town. It's we did it. We did the right thing. This. How are we to know?
I don't know.
Rukon will kneel down, look it in its eyes. We'll keep her safe. And then give it a moment. And take out his scimitar. Place the sharp end at the base of his skull. Let it breathe for a moment to see if he can respond to the words that I'm saying.
Can I?
Yeah.
Keep her safe. It's all that matters.
I lean in to his ear.
I promise.
And then take the sharp end of the scimitar and shove it through the back of his skull. Pull it out.
The shard, the darkness returns. There's nothing else. Just the darkness. Rowan and Agatha. The knights have turned on you now. Some of them have their weapons raised, some of them don't.
Agatha will just turn her back on them and just start walking out of town. She has no words.
Rukon looks at the advancing knights, slowly starts to back up, more of a casual, comfortable step, making eye contact with all of them, turning and walking behind Agatha.
The knights walk you out of town, but none of them attack you. They just make sure that you leave. Nova, outside of the gates of town. It takes a few minutes for them to get back to you. And there's one point there, she's holding on tightly to you, even though she's as large as you are. She stops sobbing for a moment and she looks up to you. Lily, there's a tiny, tiny smile on her face and she wipes a tear from her eye. She shakes her head. He wasn't the bad man. Papa was a good man.
Of course he was. One of the finest I've ever met. And let's get you someplace warm. And she'll kind of like throw that robe around the both of them and get you some food and get you all nice and comfortable, okay?
And she bows her head and goes quiet again, not sobbing now, just quiet.
Yeah, and she's gonna have her arm around her, guide her back to the. She's going back to the cabin. She doesn't know what kind of hell's gonna break loose out of those gates potentially. So,
and it's not a violent hell that breaks from the gates. It's just the lonely walk of Rukon and Agatha as the four of you, Lily now with you, but her father gone, leaving the town together, returning towards the cabin. Overhead, 3 shining bright moons of the winter solstice, the brightest night of the year, the longest night of the year, and it's just getting started. But that is where our story will end tonight. Yay. Oh, man. All right, folks. This is traditionally where we go around and we say whatever we want to say. Doesn't matter to me. Just no Game of Thrones spoilers, I guess. But anything else other than your hot takes on Game of Thrones, we can talk about anything here. And first off, I'd just like to say, Simon, man, thank you. I was excited about this character when we started talking about them last season, and to see it come to life and see it all. And wonderful, wonderful tonight. I loved Bashard. I loved having you on the show. It's all you, man. How are you doing?
Thank you. Ooh, death scenes, you know? But, oh man, did I enjoy it. I was waiting for that reveal. And if I made any one of you cry at home, hashtag sorry, not sorry. It's what I do. And I guess I loved playing with all 3 of you. I love playing with you, Dawn. It was amazing. I love all of your characters. And I'm sorry if you are now burdened with a tiny bundle of 6-year-old love. But hey, I just dumped my child on you. And apparently the pupper. If we don't know what happened to the pupper, so whatever. Yeah.
There will be more of the pupper. We'll find out more about that for sure. I promise. And I also want to say, first off, I didn't intend for it to be this way, and I don't know if you imagined this in your head, but by the end of tonight, I feel like this is an origin story for a Lily, right? This is like how heroes are born. Yeah.
Like I might play her in a Ravenloft game or something at some point. That could be nice. Is this where I plug all my stuff too?
Yeah, go for it. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, if you want to see more of me, you can head on over to Role Players on Monday, where we play D&D in my homebrew setting called Age of Arcana, which is a science and sorcery type of setting. We're at our will be our 5th session, so you haven't missed out much. The episodes, are on YouTube anyway. Otherwise, on my channel on twitch.tv/wanderingdm, on Tuesdays we play Dark Matter, which is D&D in space. And then on Thursdays we play Keep on the Shadowfell, and then on Friday we play Castle Falkenstein, and on Saturdays we play Pulp Cthulhu. And on Sundays you can find me on Solvay RPG playing some more Dungeons and Dragons. And tomorrow, can I say about tomorrow?
Oh yeah, go for it.
So tomorrow at 4 p.m. on this is this on this channel? No, it's on,
It's for Jasper's Game Day.
For Jasper's Game Day, you can find me playing 3 different characters in a meat grinder, which I have called affectionately Darts, the lawful good vampire paladin, Simon Montbelliard, the rogue whip-wielding rogue, and Healbot. So I'm going to be playing 3 funny characters, nothing tragic, nothing sad boy like tonight. But thanks for having me, everyone. It was an awesome experience.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a joy to get to play with you finally in a meaningful way. Look forward to getting to play with you again in the future. And definitely check out all the things that he's up to. Age of Arcana, I got to watch an episode the other night. I loved it. This is so much fun. And Tia's in it. Our own Tia is part of that cast with Josh, of course, who's been a guest star on the show before. So yeah, definitely check all that out. And thank you, Simon. Thank you for making this story possible. It's one of the coolest things is to add in new characters to this world. And every time it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I love that so much. I really, really do. But let's keep going because I still got to make you guys roll charisma saving throws here in a minute. Billy, how are you doing, man?
And I'm doing good. That was heavy, man. Simon, great job. That was nuts. That was crazy. I love playing with y'all so much. Don, great work. Simon, amazing. Lindy, Charlie, such a pleasure. I'm really enjoying, too, how our relationship is slowly unfurling. And I feel like, especially with Nova, it's like, it is what it is right from the beginning. And what I like about Agatha and Rukon is it's kind of like a very slow blossom as we kind of slowly gauge each other. Because we don't know a whole lot yet, but the relationship is it's fascinating how it's developing. If you like following Meatheads, you can follow me at Bill of the Forest on Twitter. Thanks for everybody in chat for everything, for all the donations, all the shout outs, all the pity LOLs at my dad jokes. Thanks for everybody tuning in on VOD. Greatly appreciate it. For tuning into our stories on your own time. Thank you very much. That's all I got.
Awesome. And you are the best meathead, my favorite meathead. And I also am really enjoying this little side adventure with these new characters and the new relationships and seeing those develop. And then when we do throw everybody back together and have all of the companions at one time, that's going to completely change everything again. That's the most fun part of D&D for me, honestly, is seeing those character interactions change and evolve. It's a lot of fun. I've loved it so far. Speaking of evolving, Agatha, how are you doing, Charlie?
Well, today was a bad day, Agatha. Never leave someone behind. Yeah, no, it was a really cool episode. Super exciting to see our little adventure as a little crew. Yeah, shout out to Simon, amazing job, amazing DM as well. I was lucky to get to play on a couple episodes of Dark Matter with him and the rest of the cast, amazing cast. I was super sad to have to leave that game, but hopefully I'll get to come back and maybe do a little speed racing in a spaceship at some point, because I have a certain pilot that's ready for that. But in the meantime, still just amazed to be a part of such a great show. It's great to play with Billy and Lindy. And yeah. Always done, of course. And obviously you're busy tomorrow, but I am role-playing tomorrow over on RPG Webby in After the Fire. No Game of Thrones spoilers, but our show's better. So if you like that kind of intrigue and fun, we've got nearly the entire cast with us tomorrow for the first time. And I think a lot of shit is gonna hit the fan for us. We had an amazing tournament last session with Sir Oliver, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm super excited. Everything else you can see on my pinned tweet even. Shout out, of course, because we're going to start recording the Lost Girls pod very soon. You can check that out if you go to twitter.com/newverbstam. I've seen Greg has attached it in the chat. So that's going on. Yeah, lots of stuff going on at the moment. Lots of wigs are involved in a lot of things as well. Yeah, what a show. And this, Simon, I had no intention of leaving someone behind or letting someone die today, but this death and all of it is so significant for Agatha in so many ways, and just thank you for sharing this with us, and I'm sorry we didn't get Vashad out.
It's okay. My intention wasn't to get out.
We messaged a little bit back and forth, like, you should run. No, you should run. Last stand, no, you should run. Because I was like, I'm gonna drop a fireball on us if you don't move, so.
It's funny, me and Bill were also messaging backwards and forwards about going back in.
I love that. I had no idea. Vashard could have got out too, you know. I had some lucky rolls there at the very end, and sometimes that's how it falls, and that's part of, I guess, DnD, is that sometimes the dice kill you, and when they do, you know, you could be heartbroken about it in a positive way or a negative way. And what I love is when every single bad thing that happens is meaningful. That's why we do dark fantasy. That's why I do it, at least, because I think that you find light in the darkness if you try, and that's what we're doing here. Hopefully we'll see how it all shakes out at the end. But yeah, do check out Game of Thrones on RPG Webby. I am the reason it's not a full cast tomorrow, because I have a charity game that I'm doing, but I will be there as soon as my charity game is over to cheer them all on. And also, I think my character is like under the effects of milk of the poppy this episode anyways. Like, it's basically just drugged out and sleeping for a week. So it's a good week to take off for me. But let's go over to Lindy. Lindy, welcome back. I do want to say, again, if I haven't before, that we're going to keep our new Kender on, because she's amazing and we need a Kender in our lives, and you are the best Kender. I love Nova Sparkfire. I loved all of the fireballs. I prepped, you didn't see it, we had an avalanche animation and thing that we prepped, because I knew it. I knew you were going to fireball up there. I knew you were going to do it.
I was legitimately, like, in my plans. Not that I make many. It's more like I throw out a couple of, that'd be cool if I did this. I was like, if something's like crawling up to attack us from beneath it, I could just fireball the mountain below us and cause an avalanche, maybe. So it worked out.
It was wonderful.
And I've always wanted to do I'm just gonna send her a fireball myself and get all you motherfuckers. And I got to have that moment tonight, and it felt real good. The look on your face was great. stream. But yeah, I loved today's episode, particularly because we got to see more character. Because Agatha and I are new characters, I really liked to see how we get to know each other and grow, and how we approach certain things, and just get to know each other before we meet the rest of the group. Because I'm sure that'll be a super fun time. Everyone's just gonna be tickled pink to see us. And I'll get to blow up more stuff. But yeah, you can find me online at LaughLoveLindy on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I play in and DM a lot of games. I am a tabletop RPG addict. Little bit less this weekend because my in-laws are in town. But Monday and Tuesday will be on my channel, Mondays in Exandria and Mr. Ravenloft, and we will have actually Dawn as a special guest on Monday on Mondays in Exandria. So definitely come check it out. He's got a super fun character from what little I hear, and we just have a hoot and holler and a blast there anyways. But yeah, come check it out. It's super fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Yay. Yeah, I love our new characters. I love all of our characters. I couldn't be happier about the start of the season. I'm looking forward to everything that's left. I'll keep my end short. You can follow me if you want. I think there's links in chat at Donathan Fry. Thank you everyone who watches this on VOD and YouTube for watching us. If you leave us comments, let us know what you think. We love hearing about it, and we really appreciate how passionate people are about this story. We're really passionate about it too, and we have a lot of fun telling it. For things that I'm doing tomorrow, I am DM for a charity event. It's part of Jasper's Game Week. It's basically raising funds for suicide prevention. It's a really, really good thing. And I'm returning Castle Ravenloft, my Castlevania-inspired meat grinder that I ran once on this channel for a bunch of people, and I've got 2 hours, and I'm going to hopefully kill 12 characters. That's my goal. Pretty sure I can do it. I've stacked the decks in my favor, but if you want to watch that happen, we'll be around at 4 p.m. raising money for Jaspers. And then at 6 p.m., once that's over, I'll be hopping over to Game of Thrones to cheer on my friends who hopefully aren't betraying my character while I'm away for a week. Let's see. But yeah, that's it. Guys, thank you very much. Please tune in for the rest of the shows on this channel. Sky Chasers, Bad Moon Rising. There's a lot of great things coming. All these people are amazing. I love spending my time with them. Before we go and get out of here, because I know it's running late, I do need you all to make me charisma saving throws.
Well, not all of us.
Vishard, you're off the hook.
Yeah. I feel bad for all the people that voted for me in chat.
Oh, I did way better than last time. I rolled like above a 5.
And here's the thing that you couldn't know about Winter Solstice. It is the most difficult save of the year for corruption saving throws. It is a DC 16.
I was just happy to roll above a 5, honestly.
Same.
So
Look at us both with that 0 modifier.
All of you are going to roll me 1d10.
Boy.
And that is how much corruption you are going to gain this episode.
Agatha! No! I'm fine.
All right, so Nova, what's that put you at total?
I got 2 from last week, so I'm at 6.
All right, now we have some poll results in as well. The poll for gaining 1d4 redemption is won by Nova. So roll me 1d4 there. And I saw we have so many things coming in from chat, guys. Thank you for all of your support this week. A bunch of more guest stars, and we had some guest stars between last week and this week as well. Again, if you want to get on the show for an episode, you can still get in until the end of the month. I love adding your characters to the world. They've all been amazing so far. So you gain 3 more redemption. What's that put your redemption total at?
Did I start with any?
Oh, maybe not. No, not you. That was, I think, Rookone. So you have 3 redemption. Okay. I need you, because you also won the poll for gaining corruption, to roll me 1d4.
Okay.
And if you want to play on another show, Sky Chasers still has 1 seat as well.
All right.
Oh yeah, because Mal took a seat last week. Mal.
Yeah.
4.
Oh no. So does that put you above 10? It does, doesn't it?
That puts me at 10.
At 10. And Rookone, you gained 8, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That puts you at 8, correct?
Correct.
Now, Rookone, we hit our large goal for the episode because of all of these, because of all the great donations that came in. There was one more poll. It's the first time it's been triggered. It's an automatic gain of 10 redemption points, and that once you hit 10, something happens. I'm not going to tell you yet, but it's something specific to your character. It can happen for any character.
Damn it,
it can only be good, right? Redemption can only be a good thing. It could never be negative.
It's coming out of your mouth. I don't believe it.
So this is something for you, Nova, and for Agatha to think about before we return to them in 2 weeks. Because next week we're back with our other group. You gain a level. You also return to 0 corruption, and either your alignment shifts towards chaotic or towards evil.
Well, I'm already chaotic.
So
So
it shifts one spot. If you were chaotic good, you're now neutral good, et cetera, et cetera. If you can go either way, then you can make a choice. And I would say after burning people alive and witnessing what you witnessed, it makes sense that you might walk away changed. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't redeem yourselves and go back in the other direction. We have mechanics for that too. But at least now you are gaining a level and gaining 1 shift in alignment. And that's where we're going to leave. Do you have any questions about that?
I'm on 12, but I just go back to 0.
You just go back to 0. Yeah. Once you hit 10 or go above 10, the clock winds back. That's all I have. You guys are awesome. Simon, once again, thank you so much for bringing us the story that we would have had otherwise. I loved it. Everybody in chat, thank you so much. And as my dear friend Greg says, you can't always roll nat 20s, but you can always role play. Have a good night, everybody.